Commission was set up as a restorative justice tool, allowing perpetrators of apartheid-era crimes and victims to come around the table in a bid to promote reconciliation and forgiveness. By the end of the commission in 2003, many perpetrators had been pardoned, but about 3,000 cases were referred to the NPA for further investigation and prosecution. However, 27 years later, virtually none of those cases have been heard by a court, and the very few that have are yet to be finalized. In May, President Cyril Ramaphosa established the Commission of Inquiry as part of a lawsuit by 24 families, including the family of anti-apartheid stalwart Fort Galata, against government for failing to make progress in their cases. The Commission spokesperson Lionel Ardendorf.
The inquiry will not be about the Galata matter solely.
The Commission insists it will not be a rerun of the original TRC, but will limit its scope to the 3,000 cases that were referred for further investigation. Eyewitness News.
The long-awaited trial against MK Party MP and daughter of former President Jacob Zuma is set to get underway today. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is charged with incitement to commit public violence as well as terrorism-related charges. She is accused of fueling riots using social media platforms after her father was jailed for contempt of court in 2021. The unrest led to the deaths of more than 300 people and looting in parts of KZN and Gauteng. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is accused of endorsing acts of violence by posting videos and captioning them, "We see you." The state believes her posts encouraged the looting and damage to infrastructure. At the time, former President Jacob Zuma was handed a 15-month jail term for contempt of court for his refusal to appear before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Senior State Prosecutor Advocate Yuri Kangai is expected to present the state's case when proceedings get underway this morning. The state is expected to scrutinize social media posts, witness testimony, and expert analysis to make its case that Zuma Sambudla's social media posts directly stoked the violence. Members of Zuma's Umkhonto weSizwe party are expected to be in court in their numbers. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Police are searching for the perpetrators behind the kidnapping, assault and robbery of Head of Operations at the Investigating Directorate, Matthews Siseko. He was accosted while on his way home on Friday night by an armed group and was allegedly forced off the road on the R25 near Kempton Park. He was then pulled from his vehicle and taken hostage for several hours before he was released. It's understood the perpetrators withdrew money from his bank accounts before stealing his cell phone and state laptop. Singh reports.
On Thursday and Friday last week, IDAC head Andrea Johnson testified before Parliament's ad hoc committee, where she named Matthew Sisoko as the person who dealt with the fraud and corruption investigation that led to the June arrest of crime intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo and 6 others. On Friday night, Sisoko was kidnapped, assaulted and robbed of his state cell phone and laptop. But crime expert and director of IRS Forensics Investigation, Chad Thomas, says 2 red flags stand out in Sisoko's case.
One is, of course, the timing of the attack, considering that we are in the midst of both the Madlanga Commission as well as the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee. And the second is the criminal's insistence of obtaining his work laptop. This is indeed a concerning event in the midst of a critical time for law enforcement in South Africa.
RN Singh, Eyewitness News.
And in Ecuador, at least 31 inmates have been found dead by asphyxiation at a prison where an armed riot left 4 others dead and dozens injured this morning. Prison authorities say they are still working to fully clarify the facts, and forensic medical personnel are on site. The deadly day at Macala's prison marks the latest incident of prison unrest in the South American country. Prisons in Ecuador have become operational centers for rival drug trafficking gangs, with over 500 inmates killed in fighting between groups competing to control the lucrative but illegal trade. Gold is trading at $4,050.89 an ounce. The rand is at 17.29 to the dollar, 22.73 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.05 a barrel.
Off to a good start in 702 land on our roads. No accidents have been reported. However, look out for those roadworks in the Calvin Alex area. N3 north between London Road and the Between Change, Sunwood Park, Boksburg. Also roadworks. N17 approaching Roundup.
And in your sport, Manchester City beat Liverpool 3-0 to move within 4 points of Premier League leaders Arsenal. Maruma go on to play Orlando Pirates in the Carling Knockout Cup final. And Lando Norris wins in Sao Paulo ahead of Antonelli and Verstappen.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 12 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 12 and 23. Vereeniging 12 as well, and a high of 20. The top story in EWN this hour: South Africa is set to revisit a painful chapter in its history as the inquiry into the Truth and Reconciliation Commission begins this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock, walking the talk on a brand new day. It's Monday, the 10th of November. We're just racing through now, are we not? How did it get to the 10th of November so quickly? Welcome to the show. My name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. Whether you're in Pasonia or Glen Vista, maybe you're in Winchester Hills or Oakdean, Meyerton or Mulbarton, it doesn't matter. Welcome one, welcome all. I'm with a team of colleagues, of course, as always. We've got producers behind the scenes running around, telling us what to do, what not to do, shaking crooked fingers at us. Bapelile and Rodfiwa, the producers taking your calls, putting the show together. We've got Karabo, who is in charge of social media. KG is here to play arbitrary songs that he'll no doubt dig out of his database.
I think
somewhere.
It's because you challenge him that he finds.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah,
you think that's what it is? Muteo Kharipo, of course, here for business news and so much more. Did you have a good weekend, young man?
I had a great weekend. Well, apart from planning a children's party, also stayed up for that 10 o'clock game that the Boks played.
Saturday.
Thought it was a bit late, but yeah.
Saturday. Your thoughts, your immediate reflections, playing that second half, a man down.
It's a true Boks story, that one. That's a Boks script. As soon as we got that red card, I was like, here we go again. Another great script for them, because the Boks are a second half team. So I really believed we were going to pull a fast one there.
And kicked and kicked and kicked. And of course, welcome back, Karabachali.
Morning, Boks.
It's a show.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
In a minute or two, we'll talk about whether or not World Rugby is indeed against the Springboks. Are we, I don't know, the boys they always pick on, who just always seem to find a way to come back. But on our menu today, we start with Ferial Haffajee, who's an associate editor at the Daily Maverick. They've launched a Johannesburg bureau. They've done this before, by the way, Nelson Mandela Bay, when that city faced particular crises. They're doing that for Johannesburg. I want to know from Ferial, why Joburg? Why now? Has it got anything to do with, I think it's 13 days now since or until we host the G20 summit. There or thereabouts, maybe 12. I think it's about 12. Before we host the G20 summit. Explosive news over the weekend. Donald Trump saying not only is he not coming, no American delegation will come to the G20. It is quite unbelievable. I was in Brazil towards the end of last year. And on my flights, both going and coming back, I encountered and interacted with South African officials who were on their way to Brazil to interact with the Brazilian officials because there's a kind of handover. So here's how it normally works, and Mateo, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The country that's hosting it now will work in tandem with the previous host so that whatever was agreed on, in terms of whatever goals may have been set, for example, the recommendations. And it could be something as simple as, I was speaking to the B20 Sherpa the other day. This is Cas Kuvadia. You remember him, of course, from the banking industry. He's the B20 Sherpa. And one of the things he was talking about was the leadership composition of the B20. One of the targets that was set in Brazil was that by 2030, the women would make at least half of the room. That was the goal the Brazilians set. The South Africans said, absolutely, we're spot on. And I think we're saying something like 46% of executives in the B20 are women. And so they've tried to smash that target. Something as random as that could be a factor. So, you work with a country that hosted previously, you are the host, and then, of course, you must hand over to the one that is coming. So South African officials would have then been sandwiched between the Brazilians and the Americans. But if the Americans aren't coming, who are you handing over?
I think you send an email.
Right?
But it's a very important process in that there should be a continuation so that things don't fall through the cracks. And whatever was agreed on in Brazil, in South Africa, then moves on to Washington and the next host after that.
And I talk about 12 days until we host, but actually that work, that groundwork has been laid for months now, if not even years. And so, yes, we'll see the culmination of the G20 in terms of the big leaders descending on Johannesburg and the delegations, but a lot of the preparatory work has been done already. And I understand now there are conversations with the Brits because it's expected that they will take over from the Americans. And so there's almost this understanding that we've got the Americans, but actually we're moving on without them, with or without them. So that's certainly a conversation point. So are we sprucing up Johannesburg because of the G20? They've got this incredible story of water tankers, multi-million rand contracts for multiple years given to young entrepreneurs in their 20s, of course politically connected, who have no experience, no track record, and there's no explanation around how these contracts are meant to deliver water. I've told the story and I've posted it on my social media where I happened upon a water tanker in a random suburb, and the guy was just literally dumping out thousands of liters because they work on invoices. So as many as you can deliver, the more you can invoice. Whether the water actually goes to anyone who needs it, that's a different story. And who checks? Because we're all in the thing, right? We're all in it together. So if you've been given the contract, of course you must invoice because that's how I get my kickbacks, right? So we'll put all those questions to Ferial Hafaji. And then our big interview this morning focuses on the Road Accident Fund. There was a subpoena issued on Friday for the former CEO, Collins Letswalo. We are told that RAF is now in a 500 billion rand hole, almost as worse as Eskom, somebody suggested, in its moment, in its peak, in terms of the crisis the power utility faced. But also just some of the decisions and how the decisions were made. Scopa is looking into this. And I just want Songa Zozibi to give us an understanding of the uniqueness of their fact-finding methods, because this, as I understand, is only the fourth inquiry of its kind since the dawn of democracy. Why is it particularly effective? What have they uncovered so far, to the degree that he can comment on that? But also, perhaps let's talk matters GNU. There was that Bosberaad with GNU leaders last weekend, and I want to find out if they're now finally singing from the same hymn sheet. And depending on how you call it, is it the Namibian War of Independence? Is it the Angolan Bush War? Is it the South African Border War? That's really, I suppose, part of the reason you might need a documentary that kind of explores that period of our history that maybe many of us have moved on from, that conflict starting in 1966 and being wrapped up in 1989. It's a good 23-year period where South African troops were dying. The Cubans were involved, of course. It was a bit of a proxy war in many respects. We'll look at a new documentary that seeks to unpack all of that for you, and it's just premiered on Showmax and Mnet.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's a 6:15. Our shout out this morning, a very simple one, really. It is the 10th of November, after all. I want to know from you, what are those everyday conveniences that make your daily work life in particular easier, but you take them for granted? You don't know you need it until you do. You don't think about needing it until it's not there.
For me, it will have to be, well, this is a strange one given that we're in 2025, but paper. Because we also print out
need paper.
The scripts, everything that we need to do on paper, still just as a backup, because sometimes technology lets you down. But it's also a nice thing to have in front of you. Yes, we work off screens, laptops, and iPads and the like, but I still need that paper, but I never really think about it every morning until you run to the printer and there's no paper and you go into a fit.
I have, what do you call this? It's not a pencil case. It's a pencil bag.
Yeah,
stationary
that's more a pencil bag. Yeah.
Right? And it's got things like highlighters in it, because I'm literally one of those old school people who highlights even newspapers. I even have a pencil sharpener.
Oh, wow.
Traditional pencil sharpener. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see my pencils.
It's like you have
very well
exams.
sharpened. I've got pens. I've got all sorts of things in my pencil case. Different colored pens, different highlighters, all in my pencil bag, because it's not quite a pencil case. And I use these things because, quite literally, I'm still one of those guys who will write mind maps, will use highlighters to highlight things that I want to pay some attention to. Because when you work on a show like this, and you highlight and you saw something, say, in a newspaper, you don't have time to go, oh, where was it? I think it was on page 4. You've got to know that when you're looking for it, you'll be able to find it. But I've got another list here of things that you don't know you need until you do. A desk fan.
Oh.
Or a heater. Right? Wait till the AC is not working. You remember you need those. A small trash can near your desk. If you're talking about lots of paper, I've got one here to the left of me. A small trash can. Some people even have things like an underfoot rest. An under-desk footrest. No? Karabachali, what are those conveniences for you?
Well, mine is very simple. I use my computer a lot, so sometimes I need to script down something, and I have to look for a pen. And every time I have to ask somebody next to me, dude, can I use your pen?
A pen.
I just always, I never have a pen.
Well, you've seen my pencil case, and I keep that away from you. All right, what are those everyday conveniences that make your daily work a little easier? You don't think you need them until they're not there.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Big story, of course, today, revisiting a painful chapter of our history. Remember the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Well, we're now going to have an inquiry into the TRC. I mean, it's just quite unbelievable. Just think about the irony, because the TRC itself, of course, was an inquiry. This one is going to be investigating alleged interference in the investigation of apartheid-era cases. Those are the ones that were referred to the National Prosecuting Authority by the TRC when it wrapped up in 2003. It's going to be chaired by retired Constitutional Court Justice C.C. Kampepe, who's going to be assisted by the former Northern Cape Judge President Frans Dialehomo and Advocate Andrea Gabriel. So we're going to be looking as to whether or not that deal, that so-called deal, was struck. Don't go after the apartheid criminals, and then we'll also leave the struggle criminals alone. Is that the trade-off that was made?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Muteo Khoripa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, and please just be honest. We're all people, right?
Oh, I fear.
What's that fine you were paid to pay, and did the sanction, make you change your behavior?
Listen, height of COVID, lockdown, 2020, I think it's level 5. We had to bury a cousin in the Eastern Cape, and my license disc had run out, and I had fines. And they wouldn't let me have a new disc. And, of course, everywhere was pretty much closed. And so you then have to go to this department, to that department. And this was on the back of trying to get his death certificate released at Home Affairs, because the person who was the undertaker didn't quite have the ability, shall I say, to do all the things, administrative stuff he was supposed to do. And it was packed like sardines, despite the lockdown, having to go to the Home Affairs office, the one near Bree Street in town, trying to, it was...
So it wasn't just the payment, but also the process.
Then you had to get the letters to travel across the country. So it was always from this department to go to that department. In order to go to this one, you need that one. I had documentation finally, drove cross-country to bury my cousin, asked me how many officers stopped me on the way to and back. Ask me.
0.
Ask me.
But you were ready. You were ready.
But I was ready. Did I ever have outstanding traffic fines again? Do you think?
No.
Yeah. Lesson learned.
702.
Weather.
21 after 6. What conditions can you expect in Johannesburg this Monday? A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Showers and thunder showers are expected. Temperatures maxing at 21 degrees in Joburg. Pretoria 23. For Vereeniging 20 degrees. It feels to me that it's a rare day that we get just bright sunshine, right? It's just raining all the time. In Bombela, 23 is your high. Bloemfontein peaks at 26 degrees. That's the same story for Durban and East London. Cape Town and Gqeberha maxing at 27.
EWN Traffic.
21 after 6, this EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. What's the first look at the roads? What are you seeing, Karabo?
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving El Dorado Park heading towards Joburg, traffic heavily backed up already. This is on the N1 northbound between the N12 and the Deep Kloof interchange, 4 ways. Also, slow-moving traffic traveling on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and the N1. Calvin, Alex area, look out for those roadworks. N3 northbound between London Road and the Between interchange. Also, roadworks in Sunwood Park. Boksburg on the N17 approaching Roundup. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This Black Friday, Outsurance is confident they can beat your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. With Outsurance, you could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. Make today the day you switch and save. SMS out to 45142. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, 702 family. My name is David Khasao. I'm from Naturena, Soweto. I've been listening to 702 since I was still young. At the age of 20, even today, I'm still listening to 702. So I'm gaining a lot in terms of information from 702. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Betway's exclusive new games are taking the world by storm. Featuring massive megaways jackpots. Take your shot on Cash and Riches, Wolf Blaze, Gallo Gold Brunos, and many more incredible experiences for you to choose from. You're guaranteed to find a new ultra fun favorite. Get way more only at Betway. Betway's licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. NRGP counseling line 0800 006 008. All events are fixed odds betting games.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for plumbers, electricians, and other tradesmen. Pumlani.
Switching to Outsurance was one of the best decisions that we've ever made. We needed business cover, over 15 million. Outsurance came forth for us. At Kani, we sleep better at night, knowing that we always get something out of Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Okay, it's time. An employee review of my FNB Gold Business account. Okay. You give me 10 free transactions a month, and you even help me pay my banking fees using eBucks. Batung, unlocking more cash from my salon. No other card does this. You reward me so much, I want to reward you.
The FNB Gold Business account. No other card works harder for your business because your cash flow is worth it. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and earn rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Morning, Bongani and 702 Landers. You know, I mean, I don't see a problem with Trump. I just want to throw something out. Zosbini Twinsie did not hand over the Miss Universe crown. She held on to it for a year and a bit, maybe 2 years. Maybe we keep the chairmanship, because how does G20 continue for not handing it on? Let's just hold on to it then, okay? Anyway, jokes aside, let's have a fantastic week. Bye. Comes from what?
You didn't know we were invited, right? I would be like, The poor country cousin who gets invited to this thing and now wants to run the show. No, it won't work.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
26 after 6, but I hear you. I mean, all tongue-in-cheek here. All right, things you need to know at this hour. Firstly, a big shake-up at the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC. The broadcaster rocked by the sudden resignations of top executives. Firstly, the Director General for the BBC, Tim Davie, and the Head of News, Deborah Turnus, last night. The move comes after a leaked memo revealed that a documentary on the program Panorama had misleadingly edited Donald Trump's 2021 speech, making it seem like he encouraged the Capitol Hill riots. And so it's now raised wider concerns about even the coverage of Gaza and trans issues. Davey, who's led the BBC for 5 years, said he will take responsibility for those mistakes. In Pretoria, listen to this. Police have arrested a former Zimbabwean member of parliament and a 78-year-old man. This happened on Friday morning. They found explosives in their car. This is a little Ford Fiesta carrying 26 blasting cartridges and 15 fuse connectors after a tip-off. The 53-year-old former opposition leader, who is a vocal critic of ZANU-PF, and his co-accused are due in court today on charges of possessing explosives. Where do you think the ATM bombings are coming from? Now, if you're flying over the US on Friday, you would have been grounded. 5,000 flights cancelled or delayed as the Federal Aviation Administration put in new mandates in place to cut air traffic during that ongoing government shutdown. Now, listen to this. If you were driving in the year 1903, Muteo, and let's say it was one of those Gauteng rainstorms, guess what? Your windshield would have just been a blur of water. Until one Mary Anderson, the hero we didn't know we needed, invented the windshield wiper on this day in 1903. We all assume cars have always had windshield wipers.
They just come with...
And you think, how are they driving without windshield wipers? Well, Mary Anderson sorted that issue out on this day in 1903 when she patented, what's the word? What's patent? Turn patent into a verb? Patent. You know what I mean. She did the act of making it a patent. The word is just not coming out, is it? So what's that invention you didn't know you needed? Post-it notes, an alarm to wake you up in the morning, wireless earbuds freeing you from tangled cords. Can you imagine your life without it? And let's go straight to the newspapers.
702.
The newspapers.
Sfisa Zulu, what's that invention you didn't know you needed?
Can I tell you, I started my radio career at community radio. We had little resources, and at the time, we used to use Blackberries. So we wrote news from we used to use our Blackberries to source news and get a pen and a paper and write down a whole bulletin. So we take...
There was no printer.
Yes, no printer, no computer.
Oh,
we take
my
printers and computers for granted. So
These
I am
days.
grateful for those things.
All right. We're also grateful that you don't need to use your BlackBerry to tell us what's going on around the world.
Yes, I typed this. In Ecuador, we woke up to breaking news that at least 31 prisoners have been found dead. So they are believed to have suffocated. And this was sparked by a riot that broke out at the prison this morning. And we are learning more information that riot was sparked by the reorganization of inmates to a new maximum security prison that will soon begin operating in a different province. And obviously, this is Ecuador, and the prisons there are known for gang rivals who are selling drugs, and they are trafficking. There are trafficking gangs. So it's believed that reorganization of separating those inmates and sending them to other facilities sparked the riots, and it's believed that some correctional services, officials, were also hurt in that process. So that's the breaking news out of Ecuador this morning.
All right, I'm looking at local newspapers, Sfiso. The front page of The Citizen, protect South Africa's whistleblowers. That's the front page headline there. Surge in political killings, says the Sowetan, ahead of the local government elections. But there's an interesting debate in the Sowetan that made me pause to reflect. They're asking the question, is a person's politics more important than their origins? This is a piece by Stembiso Msomi, who has argued, for example, had Zoran Mamdani, the new mayor-elect of New York, had he stood for mayor of Joburg, for example, would we have accepted him as a viable candidate, even though he was not born in this country?
Interesting question.
And is it too soon to consider that kind of candidate, no matter how well qualified or able or inspirational they are, given our particular history? On the other hand, Nigel, are we going to say we'd rather have a Kabelo Kamanda just because he was born here? Hey? Can you see a successful candidate who was born in Kampala, in Uganda, Kampala, running for mayor of Joburg and winning? Do we care more about people's origins than their policies or views? You'd pick Kabelo Kamanda anytime over Mamdani, Muteo? He's not going to answer that.
Putting him in a difficult position.
EWN Business.
So, Muteo, you're asking us that fine we were pained to pay, and did it help change behavior? What's your answer to that story?
Definitely SARS. And it's changed my behavior. I now have a tax guy. But, I
receipts.
Still get it wrong. Yeah, receipts are a big one.
Receipts,
I had to learn the hard way. Everything I do, keep those receipts. I'm asking the question, Bongani, because the Financial Action Task Force may have removed South Africa from the grey list, but the local Prudential Authority is still wielding its red pen among financial services firms. The Prudential Authority has imposed administrative sanctions on Discovery for non-compliance with key provisions of the Financial Intelligence Sector Act, otherwise known as FICA. Now, operating within the South African Reserve Bank, the Prudential Authority issued several warnings to the bank and imposed a 3 million rand financial penalty. Discovery Bank was sanctioned for 4 main compliance failures, failing to submit 24 suspicious or unusual transaction reports on time, not providing mandatory FICA training to staff as outlined in its risk management and compliance program, failing to address around 2,281 automated transaction monitoring alerts within 48 hours, and weaknesses including incomplete documentation and unclear definitions for the review processes and reporting timelines. Now, the Prudential Authority has been quite tough on local and international banks operating in South Africa since we were put on that grey list. Major banks like Capitec, Standard Bank, Absa have also been on the receiving end of the Prudential Authority's sanctions over the past year.
So, a couple of $1 million. How much did they make, Discovery Bank?
I mean, they made a lot.
How many billions?
No, they just
Where's
started
the rand?
money, not many.
Where's the rand?
billions. 17 rand 28 against the US dollar. In a good position this morning, 19 rand 95 against the euro and 22 rand 72 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at exactly $4,055 an ounce, while platinum is up 1.5% at $1,568. Brent crude at $64.10 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, what you have?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. The Gauteng government has issued a stern warning against attempts to disrupt G20 preparations, threatening vandals of public infrastructure with up to 30 years imprisonment. Incidents of vandalism ahead of the G20 summit have been reported near the Maverick Expo Center, where at least 60 heads of state are expected in 2 weeks. The cleanup drive ahead of the summit has drawn calls for a shutdown by some frustrated residents who say it can't be business as usual. Gauteng government spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga.
The Gauteng provincial government is extremely concerned that the investment we have made to upgrade our road infrastructure is now being undermined by criminals. The criminals are targeting infrastructure such as traffic signals as well as street lights, where the repairs have recently been completed. We call upon members of the public to work with the police to ensure that these criminals are arrested.
Meanwhile, the DA says the Gauteng government's efforts to ensure that Joburg's water and electricity supply remain secure and uninterrupted throughout the G20 summit is a slap in the face for many residents who are facing severe service delivery issues. The party says the promises of quick fixes are unsustainable for residents who need long-lasting solutions. DA Gauteng leader Solim Simanga says the sudden amplification of service delivery is also a mockery for residents.
Water and electricity outages have long been a source of frustration for the residents across Gauteng. Potholes are common as a daybreak, while many street lights and traffic lights have not been functional for almost a year. Yet only has Lesotho not led the fight against this. He is now fighting to ensure that they don't get embarrassed.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's had a good first meeting with Pope Leo during a state visit to Italy, where he again called for global solidarity and equality. Ramaphosa arrived in Rome for bilateral talks over the weekend with the head of the Catholic Church. This is part of efforts to strengthen diplomatic ties between South Africa and the Holy See, established more than 3 decades ago. Ramaphosa says global cooperation is key in addressing inequality, food insecurity, and Africa's underdevelopment and geopolitical tensions.
We were deeply moved by his sense of compassion and also his support for poor people and struggling people around the world.
And the United Nations says millions of refugees are trapped in a vicious cycle of conflict and climate extremes. The UN has urged leaders at the COP30 summit to provide financing for the most vulnerable. The new report says that climate change is not only amplifying existing vulnerabilities, it is also fueling displacement trends, creating complex and compounding risks for refugees, and it leaves them with no escape from its impacts. The UNHCR says that by mid-2025, 117 million people had been displaced by war, violence and persecution, while over the past 10 years, weather-related disasters have caused around 250 million internal displacement within countries. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 12 degrees, peaking at highs between 21 and 23.
In Lone Hill, traffic sluggish on Main Road between Lone Hill Boulevard and Witkoppen, while in Fourways there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and Leslie. In Florida, reports of an accident seen on the N1 northbound near 14th Avenue, causing some delays.
The top story this hour, the Gauteng government has issued a stern warning against attempts to disrupt G20 preparations.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. You know, that's one thing I love about Donald Trump. Whether you love him or hate him, when he says he's doing something, he's doing something. He doesn't beat around the bush. Do it, Donald Trump. And by fixing Johannesburg for the G20, I'm not sure who are they going to show off. Now it's been vandalized. Let's see. It's a test whether they will be able to sustain this thing. So Donald Trump is not coming. Hand it over to whoever you want to hand it over to. That's how useless Donald Trump sees this thing.
You know what? I'm now starting to be skeptical because, throughout these past years, Donald Trump has been saying fake news, it's all fake news. And then this whole BBC thing comes out now where the heads are resigning and stuff because of whatever he did. I don't know. Is Donald Trump right by saying fake news? All along, is he being correct, or maybe it's just this one thing? What else is there? Hoto from Don Park.
Hoso from Don Park. The Sunday Times put it really nicely yesterday, reminding us that the concept of fake news in and of itself actually doesn't make sense, because if something is fake, then it's not news, right? It's a lie. It's not news. If it is news, then it can't be fake because it's real. What the BBC did here is they took, an hour, 2 hour speech, let's say, and they truncated it. And so obviously they chose the bits that they wanted to play out of that whole speech. That's normal. But you've got to do it in a way that is reflective of what that speech represented. You can't now, because of duration and concerns about it not being an hour, then change the meaning or the direction or the tone of what the speech intended. That was the problem. Not that he didn't say those things, not that he didn't mean those things. It was just how it was edited. That, I think, is the key here.
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, we're talking. Very good morning to you. Welcome back. We're talking about those conveniences, those inventions that you didn't know you needed, because can you believe until 1903 cars didn't have windshield wipers? It was one Mary Anderson who decided, actually, I think we could do a bit of that with a bit of that.
How clever.
Say, for example, in the rain.
Yeah.
Right? It's just those things you think,
take for granted.
Take for granted.
Like glasses, like eye spectacles.
Right?
Like, no, you didn't know you needed them because you thought, oh, that's how everybody sees the world, until somebody came along and went, no.
Yeah. I remember we
That's
did
not
an
how
eye
you see them.
test in high school because, those days the department still came and checked your eyes. We did eye tests at school.
No, you still do when you're
Do they?
little. So interesting
Yes.
story. That eye test is so important, and this is from personal experience. There was a boy in my daughter's grade who had been kept a year back, and they thought he had learning problems and learning. He was just a little bit behind everybody. He was absent on the day they did the eye test, and his mom never thought to take him for an eye test. So the teacher thought that he just didn't understand what was going on the board or whatever. But it just turned out he was absent on the eye test, and once he got glasses and saw everything perfect, it was perfectly fine.
Goodness me.
Yeah, and my husband's cousin is a teacher, and the first thing she does when she thinks kids have got learning disabilities, she immediately asks the mom for the eye test.
Have you seen
Yeah.
their eyes? Gosh. All right, let's talk football.
Yes, absolutely.
Start
Manchester
there.
City beating Liverpool 3-0. Liverpool maybe needing their eyes tested. Can't find the back of the goals. To keep the pressure on the leaders Arsenal. Goals from Haaland, Gonzalez and Doku put City just 4 points behind the Gunners. City boss Pep Guardiola on the title race.
Listen, I'm pretty sure when Arsenal at the end was equalized from Sunderland, and I think Liverpool and myself said, oh wow, they draw point finally. They concede 2 goals. I said to the players, guys, don't do it. Because yesterday Arsenal didn't win. We had to do it to believe ourselves. We play against the champions in England. Show them that we are able to be there with them, all this season.
Aston Villa beat Bournemouth 4-0 to move up to 6. Brentford beat Newcastle 3-1. Nottingham Forest with 3-1 win over Leeds. Crystal Palace and Brighton goalless. Back home, Maruma Galanta through to the Carling Knockout Cup final where they'll play Orlando Pirates. Gallants beat Golden Arrows on penalties yesterday 4-2 after the game finished 2-2. Springboks put in a phenomenal performance on Saturday night.
Wow.
I thought I would fall asleep. And then I was like, this is unbelievable what I am currently
What is
watching.
as good as you thought it would be?
When Lotte Jager got sent off and we were trailing, and I just thought, that's the game. That's the game.
Really?
Yeah. I even sent a message on our little rugby group and I was like, guys, that's the game. And they all said, hang on. And so with 14 men Can you believe it? The Boks still fought back to beat France 32-17. Coach Rassie Erasmus.
We desperately wanted to win this game. People might say, oh, you're ranked 1 in the world, you should be for 5 in the world. But playing here, and again, the atmosphere, I think the French can be so proud of their supporters. It was intimidating, but luckily we've been through this. The experience of the players showed half-time. Definitely not calmness, but making plans, and mostly the assistant coaches and the players. And unfortunately, some guys had to sacrifice in the 100th test match, only playing a half.
Wales lost to Argentina last night 52-38. They were without captain Steve Tandy for the rest of the year. He dislocated his shoulder in the match. Lando Norris won the Sao Paulo F1 Grand Prix ahead of Antonelli and Verstappen, with Russell 4th and Piastri in 5th. The result puts Norris 24 points ahead of Piastri in the championship. Verstappen put in an unbelievable drive to finish 3rd, having started from the pit, but is 49 points behind Norris with 3 races to go and knows he's more than likely out the title race.
I mean, we didn't lose the championship here or whatever. We lost the championship from race 1 till Zandvoort. We had a lot of weekends where we simply were not quick enough. And then, of course, you have a big gap. Then, of course, we had good moments where you get some points back, but not enough. And that's how the season goes.
And in golf, Aaron Rai winning the Abu Dhabi Champs after beating Tommy Fleetwood on a playoff hole. Both players had finished on 25 under. They were 1 ahead of McIlroy and Hogard. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
In case you missed it, 702 was in conversation with Santam about Santam's partnership with the G20 taking place in Johannesburg.
We are participating in the Disaster Risk and Reduction Working Group, and through that we are able to share some learning, good practices, and what we've got from our flagship program, like Partnerships and Risk and Resilience. So we hope that the learnings that we are able to share with the G20 countries were able to be utilized, most importantly, to emphasize the role of partnerships between government and the private sector.
Santam is a proud sponsor of the G20 Summit. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer, and the controlling company for its group of companies.
Experience Beethoven's iconic Piano Concerto No. 3, performed by multi-award-winning pianist Albert Mamriev with the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra on Thursday, 30 November. This is at the Linda Auditorium. The JPO Spring Symphony season continues until the 20th of November. World-class soloists and conductors, a program including Mozart, Brahms, Rachmaninoff, just absolutely fantastic music. Concerts not to be missed. Book early to avoid disappointment. Tickets available at Quicket.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Hi, my name is Kaden. I go to Constantia Kloof Primary School. I'm 10 years old, and when I grow up, I'd like to be a neurosurgeon. And I'd really like to be on your show.
Let's see if the neuro pathways will lead you to 10,000 Rand.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN traffic.
Catch up now with the roads. 12 to 7. Karabo, delays in the Eldos area.
Yeah, leaving Eldo's Devland area, heading towards Joburg. Traffic heavily backed up. This is on the N1 northbound between the N12 and the Deep Kloof interchange. While in Calvin Alex, that's heading towards Midrand roadworks, causing heavy delays on the N3 northbound between London Road and the Paclu interchange. While in Germiston, also still on the N3 north, expect delays between the Ilans interchange and Van Buren. And in Sunwood Park, Boksburg roadworks also slowing down traffic. That's leaving Brakpan, heading towards Germiston, N17 westbound, approaching Roundup. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions who sit down with the people making real change. That's Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday afternoon on Afternoon Drive with John Pullman. Only on 702. It's brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
When you have multiple passions and private accounts, seamless banking can feel elusive. At Investec, we take care of your financial needs by considering all your life's moving parts. If you earn 800,000 Rand per annum or more, you may qualify for Investec Private Banking, where you'll enjoy effortless digital capabilities backed by real people who understand you. We'll even switch your account for you. Now that's private banking.
Investec is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Investec, out of the ordinary.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Yeah, Bongani, there was this one ad on TV a while ago for this very famous tire brand. And they said their slogan was, you never think about grip until you lose it. So there's something you don't think about every day when you're driving. You don't think about the grip until you lose it and you slide off the road. From Rustenburg.
Hey, Bongos. Did you know that after that lady invented the wipers, they were labeled as a distraction just because they were invented by women? Imagine something as important as wipers was labeled as a distraction. So this also can fall into that question that you asked, that would we allow someone to be a mayor just because they were not born here? So I guess human beings are complex like that.
The more things change, the more they don't change. Hey, the more they stay the same.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, Daily Maverick launches a Johannesburg bureau. We'll speak to Ferial Haffiji about that. Let's give away some cash, though, shall we? Caden wants to be a neurosurgeon later on in life, 10 years old, and wants to play the Whiz Quiz. Caden, are you ready to play?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Good luck to you. KG, start the clock. True or false? Eswatini is smaller than Lesotho.
True.
Correct. Which red planet is named after the Roman god of war?
Saturn.
It's Mars. In movies, what is the name of the pirate in Peter Pan?
Captain Hook.
Correct. What is the color of an emerald?
Green.
Correct. In which city is the Leonardo, South Africa's tallest building? Is it in Joburg or is it in Polokwane?
Polokwane.
It's in Johannesburg. True or false? English is the most spoken language in the world.
True.
That's false. Mandarin is. What is 6 times 10?
60.
Correct. Does the word procrastinate mean to enjoy or to postpone?
To postpone.
Correct. Where is the Great Pyramid of Giza?
Egypt.
Correct. Spell the word polite.
Polite.
That is indeed correct, and the judges will give you that one. And that means you walk away. Really not a bad score at all. Caden, you did well. Walking away, 7 correct answers. 700 Rand is what you win. If you 10 to 12 and you reckon you 10 to 13 and you reckon you can do well, send us a WhatsApp voice note and we could be calling you.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Talking of cash, in the next hour, we've got What's the Question, brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand up for grabs. So first 1,000 Rand for the answer based on something you send us via WhatsApp to 072-702-1702. Later, someone asks a question to get your answer to win 2,000 Rand. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
All right, 7 to 7 onto this now. The G20 summit fast approaching. Johannesburg once again in the spotlight as the mayor promises a new, clean city, polished and ready to impress. In the midst of this, Daily Maverick is stepping in with a bold new initiative to launch a Johannesburg bureau. And Ferial Haffiji, who joins us now, will tell us about this new exciting chapter for Maverick and the city. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Ferial. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani. Good to be with you.
Firstly, congratulations, I suppose, for this launch. You are returning, in a sense, to your roots as a rookie. Johannesburg was your beat?
Absolutely. That's what I started out reporting the city. And as I've been covering Joburg for many years now, it's drawn me right back to being a community reporter again.
Listen, you hardly need to tell anyone listening to this show who lives in the city about the deterioration of Joburg, from burst pipes to blackouts, uncollected rubbish, crumbling roads. Are any of these new efforts, like Josie My Josie, for example, are they making any dents as far as that kind of thing is concerned?
they're making substantial dents. There's a massive people's movement. So you've got Josie My Josie, you've got Water Can, Joburg Can, any number of community groups. It's the kind of city where its people won't give up on it, and so you've seen this massive movement, be it WhatsApp groups, etc. And that's the kind of energy that we want to tap into. Is it making a difference? I'd argue that on water, although many communities still without water, many being throttled, the work of the Water Crisis Committee has begun to turn things around. We've returned to about 7 different communities we've been tracking all year on power. How's their electricity stability going? And they're also reporting some improvements. Much to be done. Last night I was driving on Jan Smuts and Empire, and even just before the G20, those massive roads are still in darkness quite often. So lots of work to do.
You might have no doubt seen that Wall Street Journal article, which essentially was about a city that is giving up on itself. And sometimes, Ferial, it takes an outsider's perspective, right? The idea that there are clearly demarcated hijack spots where the city isn't dealing with the problem, just describing it.
So absolutely, I read that. You'll also see coming up in the week by the BBC's coming up with a huge documentary on hijacked buildings. So looking at our city through outside eyes is something that's worth doing. But on the Wall Street Journal piece, maybe the government's given up on its city. Its people have not given up on it, and for me, that's become very, very clear as I cover Josie My Josie and others quite closely. Can we turn things around without a present, without a non-captured government? I'm not sure. But in a local government election year, I think there's going to be more focus on the people than we've seen in years, and we have to make use of this moment.
Your launch issue, of course, starts with an investigation. 223 million rand in a multi-year contract given to young'uns. They're in their 20s, these chaps. Their companies, no experience or track record in water tankering. Tell us about that story.
Sure, that's an Bongani break from last year. And why we revisited it is that despite investigations, audits, and an instruction from the National Water Department saying that water tankering is so rife with corruption that they advise water boards like Johannesburg Water to buy their own tankers. And yet these two people are still sitting on that contract. And as we saw in the recent Coronationville water crisis, they're still deploying tankers. So we want to revisit that. The more important one at the moment, Bongani, is that the city's land information service is simply not working. So properties can't be transferred, rezoning applications can't go in. There's a massive block on the development and growth of a city that still wants to grow against the odds. And for me, it's those two systems that aren't working that we're watching at the moment. You'd have seen Massa's piece on Carte Blanche last night, which took you into that place where the plans are being abominably held.
Abominably.
And so, thank you very much.
Yep.
So the planning system is in complete chaos, and people can't find plans. There's also corruption sitting in because many people are just buying their plans or in fact having them redrawn at massive costs.
Gosh, I mean, I want to stick with the water issue for a while because and part of the problem with it is, of course, companies win tenders and usually they're individuals connected to powerful politicians. But the system and the controls around water tankering seems to me to be problematic. I, as a sample of one person, have recorded a tanker dumping liters of water in an open road on a suburban road because, of course, the many more deliveries they can make with more invoices, the more money they can make. But there's no control as to where the water is delivered, who receives it, and is it where it is needed.
So very good question there. So in the course of trying to follow up on this 223 million tanker contract, I've been saying, could we have the details? What are they being paid? Are they using the emergency tankering tariff, which is much higher than the normal one? And what you get back from Johannesburg Water is that this case is sub judice because it's in the courts, or when you ask the companies themselves, they say, no, that would be in breach of our commercial interests. It would be you're not allowed to see that, basically. But so that's why the National Water Department is so clear. The tankering has to be insourced. The profit motive related to it has to be taken out of the system. And for me, that's something we have to ensure happens. It shouldn't be subject to tender or contract. They should just have water tankers, or they shouldn't have them because the system should be working.
Yeah, because I was about to say, having their own water tankers would be a concession to how permanently these water issues will persist. Appreciate your time. We'll keep an eye on your work, particularly focusing on the city of Johannesburg. That is, of course, Ferial Haffajee, Associate Editor at Daily Maverick, now the Johannesburg Bureau Chief.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Keeping an eye on more public money. Up next, we look at the road accident fund in a 500 Rand billion hole. Can we get that money back? And does that mean now claimants with real claims are charity cases instead of people who deserve compensation? All of that to come after this Eyewitness News brought to you by Khaliks. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
A family is killed by a fire on the East Rand, and Duduzile Zuma Sambula's terrorism-related trial starts today. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. 5 members of the same family have died in a shack fire in Ekurhuleni. Emergency services say they were called to the scene at the Steve Biko informal settlement just before midnight. 1 teenager survived the blaze. Ekurhuleni Disaster and Emergency Services spokesperson William Kladi says the cause of the blaze is being investigated.
A 5-room shack was found engulfed in flames. Fire suppression was initiated. Flames contained and extinguished. And on search, rescue and recovery, 5 charred bodies were found under the burnt rubble.
South African presidents and prominent politicians are expected to form part of the witnesses who will take the hot seat at the Judicial Commission into the Truth and Reconciliation. The inquiry kicks off in Newtown in Johannesburg today. In May, President Cyril Ramaphosa established the commission to investigate allegations of interference in the prosecution of TRC cases. It's been 30 years since the TRC held hearings led by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, but at the 3,000 cases that were referred to the NPA for prosecution, virtually none have made it to court. Khomoso Modise reports.
Over the years, it's been alleged by some, including former NPA head Advocate Vusi Pikoli, that former President Thabo Mbeki and his administration actively prevented prosecutors from pursuing TRC cases. Now, with the Judicial Commission into the TRC, both men will have to take the hot seat and explain themselves. While some alleged perpetrators and family members of victims will also testify, the Commission insists this will not be a rerun of the original TRC. Spokesperson Lionel Ardendorf.
The terms of reference of the TRC cases inquiry is to establish why it is that cases that were referred to the SAPS for investigation were never investigated and prosecuted.
Because the Commission was prompted by a 167 million rand lawsuit by 24 families who've taken government to court over the lack of prosecution of TRC cases, those families will be among the first to testify. Khomoso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The long-awaited trial against MK Party MP and daughter of former President Jacob Zuma is set to get underway today. Duduzile Zuma Sambula is charged with incitement to commit public violence as well as terrorism-related charges. She's accused of fueling riots using social media platforms after her father was jailed for contempt of court in 2021. The unrest led to the deaths of more than 300 people and looting in parts of KZN and Gauteng. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Duduzile Zuma Sambula is accused of endorsing acts of violence by posting videos and captioning them, "We see you." The state believes her posts encouraged the looting and damage to infrastructure. At the time, former President Jacob Zuma was handed a 15-month jail term for contempt of court for his refusal to appear before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Senior State Prosecutor Advocate Yuri Kangai is expected to present the state's case when proceedings get underway this morning. The state is expected to scrutinize social media posts, witness testimony, and expert analysis to make its case that Zuma Sambutla's social media posts directly stoked the violence. Members of Zuma's Umkhonto weSizwe party are expected to be in court in their numbers. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And U.S. senators have reached a deal that will resume federal funding. This will end a shutdown which has stretched to a record 40 days and forced many government operations to grind to a halt. The lawmakers are believed to have reached a stopgap agreement to fund the government through January after wrangling over healthcare subsidies, food benefits, and President Donald Trump's firings of federal employees. Trump has told reporters that there are positive developments.
We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon.
Gold is trading at $4,054.14 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.07 a barrel.
In Calvin Alex area, heading towards Midrand roadworks, causing more than a 20-minute delay. N3 northbound between Modderfontein Road and the Bethune Interchange. Germiston traffic also heavily backed up. N3 northbound between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren, and leaving Eldorado Park traffic sluggish. N1 north between the N12 and the Deep Kloof Interchange.
And in your sport, Liverpool boss Arne Slot says it's too soon to panic in the Premier League after his side's 3-0 loss to Manchester City leaves them 8th on the table. The Carling Knockout Cup final will be Pirates against Gallant on December 6. And Lando Norris wins in Sao Paulo ahead of Antonelli, while Verstappen, who started in the pits, finished 3rd.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 5 members of the same family have died in a shack fire in Ekurhuleni.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
With a passion for business and community, Khaliks is constantly looking for opportunities to help others. To date, Khaliks' Suit Trade-In campaign has helped provide suits to 2,000 job applicants and 100 retail interns. And you can get involved too by bringing in your old suit and trading it in for a brand new one at 30% off. Khaliks will then clean, mend and distribute to those who need a start in business. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Awful story then coming out of Ekurhuleni. Members of the same family, their bodies found after a blaze destroyed their home in the Steve Biko informal settlement. One teenager, we understand, has survived that blaze. Tragic story. I don't know if you saw the G20 signs that were vandalized over the weekend, spray painted. This is, of course, a sign near Maverick. The Gauteng government saying that these armed assailants, whoever the vandals were, they thought to have been responsible for what happens. And the Gauteng government quite irate at that. Damaged infrastructure also in Ekurhuleni. People, I suppose, voicing their sense of protest. I was asking you about a very interesting question that is raised in the Sowetan this morning. Do you care more about the origins of your leaders than their policies? Stembi Somsomi in the Sowetan asks the question, had Zoran Mamdani stood as mayor for Johannesburg, might he have been accepted even though he's a Ugandan-born politician? We know, of course, he spent some part of his formative years here in South Africa. His father was a professor at the University of Cape Town, but he's lived in New York since he was 7. He's a fully fledged US citizen. And even though people have made all sorts of attacks on him, he has now become the new mayor of New York. I want you to listen to him, Mayor-elect Zoran Mandami, issuing warnings around the US's Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves.
Zoran Mamdani there. The other issue I want to pay some attention to, we have covered to some degree the crisis that is unfolding in Sudan. Now, I want you to listen to the veteran journalist, broadcaster Mehdi Hassan on his platform Zateo. He's interviewing human rights investigator Nathaniel Raymond about what's unfolding in Sudan. And they're essentially not only tracking it with video footage on the ground, they're also using satellite imagery, and they're saying it is possibly the worst humanitarian crisis at the moment anywhere in the world.
Nathaniel, Yale's Humanitarian Research Lab released some pretty stark images of Al Fasher last week, where you can see the blood-soaked sand from outer space. Describe to us what you've been seeing in Al Fasher all of these days.
What we're seeing in Al Fasher is what happens when you literally take 250,000 people, trap them inside a wall, and then put in with them a bunch of guys with submachine guns who have been trying for 20 years to kill all of them. We're seeing a level of proliferation of bodies and body piles from space that's unlike anything I've ever seen in 15 years of satellite imagery analysis of conflict zones, including ethnic cleansing. And so they're killing everyone that moves, and that's consistent with the video footage we have on the ground.
Blood-soaked sand visible from that imagery, that satellite imagery from space. There's the use of submachine guns to mow people down. The scale of this thing is unbelievable, and the attention of the world is not focusing on it sufficiently. Nathaniel Raymond goes on to warn that more people have been killed in 1 week in Sudan than we have seen in Gaza over the last 2 years.
More people could have died in the past week in Al Fasher, and this is without hyperbole, than died in the past 2 years in Gaza in terms of civilian casualties. I would not be surprised if we end up above that. And so it's great people are saying the right things now, but this was entirely...
Just to be clear, you mentioned that you quit the Biden administration in 2024. I just want to be clear here. Your position is that Presidents Trump and Biden equally failed the people of Sudan?
Equally, yes.
Both Presidents Biden and Trump failing the people of Sudan equally. There is the view of this human rights investigator, Nathaniel Raymond.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Things you need to know at this hour. The BBC rocked by the sudden resignations of the Director General Tim Davey and the head of news Deborah Turnus after a Panorama documentary misleadingly edited a Donald Trump speech in 2021. And then an extraordinary story coming out of Pretoria. A former Zimbabwean member of parliament and a 73-year-old man were arrested on Friday after police found explosives in their car following a tip-off. Both are due in court today. Do you remember that moment in 2007 at a summit in Santiago, Chile? Spain's King Juan Carlos made history, not just because of his crown, but with a clapback against the Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez then, who kept interrupting Spain's prime minister during a speech on democracy, and of course contrasting that with Venezuela's political system. And eventually the king just clapped back at him and says, "Why don't you shut up, man?" It's a one line that went viral around the world, and it was used as ringtone, a t-shirt. It was on t-shirts, and there was even a TV show. Sometimes the perfect clapback goes far beyond the moment. It was on this day in 1990. The singer Mariah Carey kicked off a 3-week run at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with her hit, Love Takes Time. She co-wrote the song for her debut album, but it was actually a last-minute addition finished after the album was thought to be completed, and it became one of her early chart-topping hits.
But I let it slip away.
couldn't see how to read it wrong. Now I wonder why I'm feeling down and cold, trying to believe that you're gone. Love takes time to heal when you're hurting so much. Couldn't see that I was blind to let you go. I can't escape the pain inside, 'cause love takes time. I don't wanna be here. I don't wanna be here alone.
702. Up next.
The Big Interview.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays in Alex. Karabo?
Yes, Alex, roadworks causing huge delays. Expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 North between Modderfontein Road and the Baclean to change, while in Kempton Park, also traffic pressure on Modderfontein Road between Zierfontein and Laurie. Germiston traffic heavily backed up. N3 northbound between the Ilans Interchange and Van Buren. And finally in Dawn Park, expect some delays. Heidelberg Road between West Central and North Boundary Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Now, the Outsurance Pointsman can't help you find your child's school shoes, but they can help ease traffic congestion so you can get to the school gate before it closes. With the Outsurance Pointsman on roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702.
The Big Interview.
With Bongani Bingwa.
On to this now. So how deep is the hole the Road Accident Fund has dug for itself amid allegations of maladministration, financial impropriety, and the misuse of public funds? Now, 4 senior executives, including the acting CEO, the CFO, the Chief Governance Officer, and the head of the Office of the CEO have been suspended with immediate effects. For weeks now, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts in Parliament has been asking tough questions of the entity and scrutinizing its operations. A bleak picture has begun to emerge of an institution in deep crisis. Staff sometimes suspended for years with full pay, political interference shaping decisions, accounting tricks used to hide liabilities, and you can add to that lavish spending, questionable contracts, victims, most importantly, waiting for years for their payouts, victims of road accidents, and the RAF looks less like a fund and more than a cautionary tale of state collapse. Songezo Zibi is the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts and has been leading that inquiry and joins us now. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani. Thanks very much for having me.
Let's start with the latest news. These suspensions coming out, I think, on Friday. What's your response to it? Too little? Too late?
No, Bongani, it's never too late. Most certainly, I think it's important that the board, and they are coming to Parliament to the Transport Portfolio Committee this coming week, tomorrow, in fact, that they set out what they've observed, what has led to the suspension. As the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, we've seen enormous maladministration, really bad accounting practices, all of which have led to over 430,000 claims being outstanding, some of them for more than a decade, unattended, while the cost of claim has gone out, the value per claim has gone up by 70%, legal fees per claim have tripled or quadrupled, and so on. So there's enormous financial leakage at the Road Accident Fund, as well as other very concerning things, and they needed to be arrested.
All right. And you mean those processes needed to be arrested, not the
Those
individuals.
processes,
Yes.
those processes needed to
can
be
can easily be misread as something else. All right. I remember, I don't know if it was a tweet. My brain tells me it was, where you said before this process began formally that by the time you do, you're not necessarily on a fishing expedition. You know the kinds of things you are looking to ask questions about. And perhaps for our audience, to underscore the work that you are doing, this inquiry that Scopa now is leading is the fourth of its kind since 1994.
Yes, I understand that it is the fourth of its kind since 1994. I know they did something during the state capture years as well. But certainly in this case of the road accident fund, an intervention was necessary because in the previous parliament, there were instances where the committee would go to the premises and they wouldn't be allowed in. And then when they are allowed in, the management would refuse to attend to them and they'd have to walk around on their own without anybody showing them around.
Yes.
So certainly the level of insolence by that institution has been incredible. And then when they come to Parliament, they would withhold information. They would tell things that are totally untrue to Parliament, which is why we've put them under oath this time, so that they're under the pain of potential prosecution, because it's difficult to trust anything they say.
Is that the method of fact-finding that makes this significant?
Yes, it is.
Right. I mean, I don't know how much you can comment, given that the process is still underway, but to the degree that you can, just at a cursory level, how deep is the crisis at the RAF?
It's a train wreck, Bongani. That's the only way that I can describe it. I'll just mention four things without elaborating.
Yes.
The road accident fund gets allocated about 50 billion rand a year. They spend about 43 billion. They used to settle about 253,000 claims with that money, 43 billion. They now settle about 63,000 with the same money, first of all, while claims are lying unattended. That's one example.
Is it because the claims have gone up?
It's not because the claims have gone up. It's because the process has become inefficient. There are no claims administrators. The default judgments have gone up. They don't send people to court to defend all the matters. And therefore, a claim that should be settled, let's say at 1 million rand, can get concluded by court order at 5 million rand because they fired the panel of attorneys that was there without a plan. So they've got about 64 attorneys, and the caseload by attorney is between 4,000 and 5,000 claims that they've got to handle. It's an impossible task. So what happens is that attorneys go to court and they obtain a court order at whatever amount the claimant was claiming, and it has to be paid at that amount because there was nobody to say it's unjustifiable.
And these are external attorneys who obviously come at a low cost.
No, they used to have external attorneys. They've got their own attorneys now. Some of them are really good. I've seen some of the judgments. They do settle. They do argue the matters in court. The problem is there's just not enough of them. So you find that one attorney is expected in 3 different hearings at the same time in the same courthouse, and it's impossible. So whichever 2 of the 3 they can't attend, they lose those 2 because they can't be at 3 places at the same time. That should have been foreseen. It wasn't. The decision was taken, and it was left to collapse. The second is they've externalized about 1 billion rand of procurement through 2 marketing contracts. And the Road Accident Fund does not scrutinize the invoices that it's expected to pay out of those contracts. The one contract is supposed to end in 2027 with 500 million rand spent. By the end of this year, they will have exhausted that 500 million by February. And it's not clear what that money has been spent on, whether it's been spent on justifiably or not. The other contract is similar, where we saw a bottle of water for 85 rand one single event, a staff event for 4 million rand, etc., etc. So I can go on and on, Bongani, and depress 702 listeners in the morning, but that's what we found.
And that's how we get to the 500 billion rand hole.
Well, that's a different matter, the 500 billion rand hole, which is what the Road Accident Fund, I spoke earlier about accounting malpractices. They simply decided, without any legal advice, without proper advice at all, because we scrutinized this last week, that a large portion of their liabilities simply don't exist. So they wrote them off the books. They used to be over 330 billion. So they decided that, no, we're not going to account for that category. It doesn't exist, and they just scratched it off the balance sheet. That's what led to the litigation with the Auditor General. And the Auditor General won that case, but they just continued to litigate. They went to the High Court twice and lost, Supreme Court of Appeal twice and lost. And they went now, before this new board came, they were going to the Constitutional Court for a reason that has not been apparent, because there is no constitutional issue at all. It's an issue of public accounting standards, and the Accounting Standards Board has never given them permission to do what they were doing. They were just insisting on doing it.
The last time they received a clean audit was 2018, 2019. Has anyone been held for this cooking of the books?
No, nobody's been held accountable yet. That's this process that we're doing now, is to hold them accountable. We will be calling the previous boards to come to the committee over the next 2 weeks and explain to us how they arrived at this decision, whose advice they took, because the two auditing firms that they hired, one told them they shouldn't do what they're planning to do and they must get legal advice. They fired them, and then they told them that they're not going to pay them. And secondly, they must withdraw that document, I think because they didn't like what it says. The second was PwC. PwC insist that they never gave such advice. They were asked to advise on the implementation of a decision already taken. The problem is PwC were asked to do this work before the board took any such decision. So we still need to ask about that on the 18th of this month, when the suspended chief financial officer comes back to the committee.
So I'd imagine central to answering some of those questions must surely be the former CEO, Collins Letswalo. You've subpoenaed him?
We've subpoenaed him. So the subpoena was served at the address that we knew from previous correspondence. He wasn't there. But he's since they've since located his new address, and I expect the subpoena to be served on him today. The reason for him not coming to Parliament is that he wants to choose the committee before which he appears. He says, in his opinion, we are not the right committee to ask about public funds of him. The Portfolio Committee on Transport should do that. SCOPA should merely look at the financial statements and discuss them and do no more.
Can he ignore your subpoena?
He can, but then there'll be consequences by way of the police looking for him.
And I mean, he gets arrested and
he gets arrested, and you may face up to 2 years in prison.
Gosh, how does this make you feel? I mean, you have watched as a journalist, as a citizen, and now, of course, as a politician, the rot in terms of public finances. Having this up close a view, how does that make you feel?
No, I mean, it makes all of us on the committee really upset, Bongani, because there are people that have tried to say that certain things shouldn't be done. They have been abused and hounded out of the institution. Some of them were in front of the committee, and they broke down and cried, relating what has happened to them, where they lost everything because they were defending their labor, their labor matters in court. And there would be court orders that the Road Accident Fund would simply ignore and not enforce, even if it's an appeal court that instructs them to do that. What the other concerning thing, lastly, Bongani, is that it's also the lack of scrutiny by previous ministers who would even commend what was going on there, incredibly. Even as the number of claims registered, processed, and settled was declining precipitously. I saw a cabinet statement that that commended the turnaround at the Road Accident Fund. When you look at that, you just think, but why would a minister inform cabinet that things are going well when they're going in the opposite direction, such that cabinet will put that in a cabinet statement?
It's quite unbelievable. Appreciate your time. Senga Zozibi is the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. They've been doing some work looking into the Road Accident Fund.
EWN Business.
Coming now to the world of business news. It's going to be an important economic week ahead. Muteo, what are you leading with at this hour? Eskom?
No, Vodacom. I ran in here, Bongani, because I'm trying to look through the results. They've just been released. I still don't have that number yet for you.
That magic number.
But yeah, we do expect that the company will release those results and talk to us about, of course, about the interim results. Vodacom is set to report stronger earnings per share for the interim results due today. The telecoms giant says it anticipates profits to increase by between 30 to 40% for the period. In a SENS statement last week, Vodacom indicated it will be reporting a one-off cost that will impact its results for the first half of 2026.
And that's the number we're looking at.
That's the one we're looking for. That cost is expected to be, of course, that settlement with Please Call Me Inventor Nkosana Makate. From what I've seen so far, they haven't given that number in the SENS report, which means we'll have to dig deeper in their website to look for the full scope of results and try find that number for you.
T's and C's apply, my friend. Let's talk China now. They're relaxing their chokehold on rare earth minerals.
Yeah, China has made the decision, of course, after the meeting with President Donald Trump on the 31st of October. China rolling back a number of restrictions on its exports of critical minerals and rare earth materials to the United States, in a sign that a trade truce between the world's two largest economies is holding. China's Ministry of Commerce said it would suspend some export controls on critical minerals used in military hardware, semiconductors, and other high-tech industries for a year.
Your indicators?
It's still a good one for the Rand, but there was some weakness for the JSE on Friday, down 1,254 points. The Rand at this hour, 17 Rand 27 against the US dollar, 19 Rand 98 cents against the euro, and 22 Rand 72 cents against the British pound. The price of gold, exactly $4,050 an ounce. It's up 1%. Platinum at $1,567 an ounce, while Brent crude is now at $64.16 a barrel. More business after 8.
Sfiso Zulu has the latest eyewitness news. The ANC weighing in on Senzo Mkhunu. Sfiso?
That's right, Bongani. The party says he's not above the step-aside rule and other internal disciplinary processes amid scrutiny of his alleged involvement in political interference in police structures. Mkhunu was placed on special leave as police minister earlier this year following allegations by KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi that he interfered in high-profile criminal probes. Last week, Mkhunu handed over his digital devices to the Political Killings Task Team as part of an ongoing investigation. While he continues with his ANC duties, the party says Mkhunu has indicated his willingness to step aside from organizational work if he is formally charged. ANC spokesperson Mahleng Beng.
The ANC reiterates that once a member is criminally charged, they voluntarily step aside from their responsibilities until the conclusion of matters that they face. We are going to be continually monitoring the situation concerning Comrade Senzo.
DA Johannesburg mayoral hopeful Helen Zille will officially make the city her home again this week. Zille has already kicked off an election campaign for the next local government elections, which at its earlier are a year away, while still permanently a resident in Cape Town. But she's indicated that she's ready to make the permanent move to Joburg and get stuck into her campaign. During her career in politics, the 74-year-old has been both the mayor of Cape Town and the Western Cape Premier. Zille says during her December break, she'll be combing through the city of Joburg's budgets and other documents as part of her preparation.
I work with very good people, and the only message we have to get across to them is this: that if they want to rescue their city, they know what to do. They don't have to like me. They certainly don't have to like the DA. They just have to love Joburg to do the right thing by Joburg. We believe in Joburg, and they must too.
Mine Workers Union NUM and the SACP has again called for plans to unbundle Eskom to be halted, claiming this is a backdoor attempt to privatize the power utility. The NUM and the SACP marched to the offices of Eskom and the Department of Employment and Labour in Bellville in the Western Cape over the weekend. Both organisations believe unbundling the parastatal into separate enterprises for generation, transmission and distribution is bad news. They also want a reversal of the recent electricity tariff hikes. NUM President Philip Vilakazi says Eskom's restructuring threatens jobs, collective bargaining and fair working conditions.
We cannot hand over these democratic rights because we would have sold out all the gains of workers. Eskom, the memorandum is going to tell you, if you don't know, the electric tariffs in the country is a reason why the economy is not growing.
Vilakazi calls for Eskom's plans to fast-track the decommissioning of coal-fired power plants over climate concerns only will make matters worse.
We are saying, if is there anyone who lists mining products to be critical, let them include coal. We want coal to be part of the critical minerals. And all the minerals in the continent of Africa, they must be critical.
And U.S. senators have passed a deal that paves the way to ending the longest U.S. government shutdown in history. A group of Democratic lawmakers have backed an agreement negotiated with Republicans in the Senate. After 40 days of stalemate, this is the first sign of any progress, but the deal still needs to pass the House. There was wrangling over health care subsidies, food benefits, and President Donald Trump's firing of federal employees. But Chuck Schumer, who is the leader of the minorities among the Democrats who are opposed to the deal that will slow the process down.
We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage. From cutting off food aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23.
In Ekurhuleni, traffic heavily backed up in Esther Park on Zierfontein Road between Green Avenue and Morafontein Road. At Dawn Park, Boksburg, expect delays on Heidelberg Road. Between West Central and North Boundary Road, also in Windmill Park, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Rondapole Road between East Central and North Boundary Road.
The top story this hour, the ANC says NEC member Senzo Mchunu is not above the party step-aside rule.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
I'm Samela Kelboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Increase the health promotion levy on sugary drinks. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Ask yourself, what matters most? I just want to be there when she takes her first steps.
And still be around for her first dance.
It's knowing I'm not just covered, I'm cared for.
It's having the strength to say I'm back.
It's just knowing Mom will be okay.
It's coming home. Bonitas goes beyond benefits and claims. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Voted #1 medical aid in the Ask Africa Orange Index Awards for the 2nd year running. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, Charlotte and Rutherford. You know, it's good to hear Mr. Songezo Zibi saying it's not a little too late. because definitely the parliamentary committee is starting to ask the right questions. So being a member of parliament is not just fashionable anymore. They're actually starting to do some work now. But the question is, how long did it take for the right questions to be asked? And now my worry is, how long will it take for some accountability to be taken and for us to start seeing some actions and people being held accountable and prosecuted? Another 30 years? We hope not. Thank you.
Well, it's the point that we've made repeatedly following last year's general election, that there would actually now be work in Parliament. Those committees would actually do what they were always supposed to do. And that, of course, is to hold people accountable and to get those questions. I asked if the suspensions of 4 senior executives was too little too late, and he says it's never too late to hold people accountable. But of course, what also must be mentioned is that many of the decisions that were taken would have been taken in previous eras with different boards and different executives, and that's what in part prompted that question. But my goodness me, I don't think I can remember interviewing, and I've been doing this show now, this is my 8th year. That's how much time has gone by. 8th year. First did it January 2018. So I'm about to close off my 8th year of doing this show. I don't remember interviewing somebody who said, the thing is so bad, I don't want to give more details. What I've given you is shocking enough. But it's so bad, I don't want to depress the listener so early on a Monday morning. Just take that in. He says, it's so bad, I actually don't want to give into. And they're not even at the end of the inquiry. It's still unfolding. But he says, what we've heard so far, it's just too depressing for the listeners on a Monday morning.
Bongs John here from Randburg. My question is, at what threshold does money come under higher scrutiny from auditors, or is it just the same across the board when it comes to public spending? It's really, I don't know, some heads must roll for this, all the way up to the minister. I don't care.
Well, which one? That's the trouble, you see. They've had different ministers of transport who provided political oversight during the mess, when the mess was unfolding. And as you heard from Singers of Zibi, there were statements of cabinet that said the Road Accident Fund was doing an amazing job. So which minister do you target? All of the ministers of transport? What was their role? I mean, it beggars belief. And of course, as you also heard, the Auditor General did look at their financial statements. They haven't had a clean audit since 2018, 2019. But what did they do? They litigated all the way. They were trying to go as far as the Constitutional Court. They kept saying, no, we don't like that. And so whenever they were told something they didn't like, they would say, fine, we'll go to the courts. We've got deep pockets because we've got millions and millions of rands of public money.
702. What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. Your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Walter, who is in Cape Town. Walter, what's today's answer, please?
Love takes time.
Ooh, love takes time. It does sometimes, does it not? Walter, has love taken time for you?
Absolutely.
Or is it already there?
It's already there.
Is it already there? I tell you what, how about 1,000 Rand to add to the love that is already there? All thanks to 702 and Outsurance. Very well done there. All right, Walter's answer is love takes time. Don't you take time? Call us now if you know the question on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
18 to 8. Cindy, I said last week 6 points. It's just a little more comfortable for me as daylight than something less than that. And as you always remind us, it's still early days in the season.
It's still not even halfway through the season, right? It's 11 games, but the Liverpool fans are absolutely spiraling. And the only reason I say that is because my colleagues who are Liverpool fans who are coming to work, they're just like shaking their head. And one even said to me, how can we be below Manchester United? Like, how is it that we are the defending champions? He was literally standing at the photocopy machine just going, but Cindy, we're the defending champions. How are we below? And I said, I know. And Man United is a mid-table team and has been for a while. He's like, but we're below them. It's calm.
Look,
I'm calling for calm.
Man City won this thing 2 years ago, so they've got to just calm down.
Yeah, so anything can happen. There's 38 games. We're 11 in. Anything can happen still. I always like to say that the team that is top at Christmas is generally the team that goes on to win the league. I don't know if there's stats in that, but that's just my own little thinking.
A little formula.
Yeah, my own little formula. But anyway, as it stands, Manchester City are 4 points behind Arsenal after beating Liverpool 3-0 with goals from Holland, Gonzalez and Doku. Liverpool boss Arne Slot on his team being 8th now with 8 points behind Arsenal.
Yeah, it feels there's too many. And the last thing I should speak about now is the title race. We should first focus on getting result after result after result before we can even think about that. And the reality is that we are late.
Aston Villa beat Bournemouth 4-0. Brentford and Nottingham with 3-1 wins over Newcastle and Leeds, Palace and Brighton goalless. The Carling Knockout Cup final will be Orlando Pirates against Maruma Galant on December the 6th. Yesterday, Galant beat the Golden Arrows on penalties 4-2 after the game finished 2-2. At the Under-17 FIFA World Cup, South Africa lost to Italy 3-1, but they're still through to the knockouts. They finished second in their group. Springboks came from a point down and with 14 men beat France 32-17. It was Siya Kolisi's 100th Bok test, but he was benched in a reshuffle after Diago was sent off. Coach Rassie Rasmus.
I think the connection that he has with all walks of life, he understands those people and he spends time. And obviously then when he gets to the team environment, he controls the, if I can call it, the climate or the vibe in the team, create an environment where everybody feels we're all worthy and we're all equal.
You know what I found particularly inspiring was just how happy Siya Kolisi is, even when he's no longer playing, when he's now been, benched and substituted. When the team does well, he was just so thrilled. You could see the joy on his face, and I think that's partly what makes a good leader, right?
Absolutely phenomenal. And we always downplay the 100th test for the Springboks. But what people don't realize is in order to get 100 tests for the Springboks, you have to have played a lot of international action. And there isn't a lot of international action in the calendar. So to reach 100 tests is phenomenal. And then to have 67 of those as captain is something quite incredible. And I think just what Siya, and because also for Rassie, it was Rassie's 50th test in charge as coach. I think the combination of Rassie and Siya together deserves them a spot on the 100 Rand banknote.
Does he stay until 2027, do you think?
He does. So both of them will definitely stay until 2027. Siya definitely will play.
Winning 3, hey?
Will play in the next World Cup.
Imagine winning 3.
It would be incredible.
Wow.
And then I think after that he possibly could call it a day because you know the guys take a beating. They take an absolute pounding week in and week out. If you think of being tackled constantly for 80 minutes and running up and down.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, the fitness and the ability to take that much.
No, I understand. I hear you.
Physicality is the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So Wales won't have captain Steve Tandy for the rest of the year. He dislocated his shoulder in the 52-28 loss to Argentina. Lando Norris won the Sao Paulo F1 Grand Prix ahead of Antonelli. Verstappen, who started from the pits, was sensational. He finished third, ahead of Russell with Piastri in fifth. The result means Norris is 24 points ahead of Piastri in the championship. At the Portuguese MotoGP, it was won by Bezzecchi ahead of Alex Marquez and Costa with Brad Binder in fifth. And at the ATP Finals, Alcaraz beat Deminal 7-6 and 6-2. Zverev beat Shelton 6-3 and 7-6. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Jonathan Oppenheimer said, I don't know if you saw it, Ignatius, he said, we should stop letting red tape get in the way of entrepreneurs. I mean, for you, is that an issue?
Oh, it is. It's a big issue. I mean, in different fora as business, we talk to government. I can't really put my hand on it as what is it that's holding the government up in getting rid of red tape. I would like to believe the government wants this economy to grow.
Ignatius Sihole is the CEO of KPMG South Africa.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, advancing Red Rocket's ambitions with Discovery Green as the off-taker to power Africa's future through affordable, renewable energy.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring exclusive books. Their CEO, Grattan Kirk, will be in conversation with me, Bongani Bingwa, and we do this on Wednesdays to highlight efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and together make a difference.
EWN Traffic.
12 to 8, the CWN Traffic is brought to you by Citroen. Buy an Aircross from 279,000 or a C3 from 262k with a service plan. You'll get a 4-month payment holiday. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply. There are delays in the Dawn Park area. Karabo, what's going on?
Yeah, Ekurhuleni, Dawn Park. Expect heavy delays on Heidelberg Road between West Central and North Boundary. Also, in Windmill Park in the Boksburg area, bumper traffic on Roundup Road between East Central and North Boundary. Esther Park in the Kempton Park area, traffic heavily backed up on Zierfontein Road between Green Avenue and Morafontein Road. Still in Kempton Park in the Illiondale area, there's traffic pressure on Morafontein Road between Zierfontein and Laurie. And finally, in the Calvin Alex area, roadworks now causing more than an hour delay. N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Queen's Change. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Picturing your life in a Citroen A-Cross SUV?
Wait, did you just pause the ad?
Yep, practicing for your car payments.
Ah, I get it. 4 months, no payments, like a holiday for my wallet.
Press pause on payments and play on life. Get a 4-month payment holiday when you buy the Citroen A-Cross SUV with 10-inch HD touchscreen, warranty and service plan from 281,500. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance, please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is love takes time, let's look at who has the right answer. We will go to Fahim in Crosby. Fahim?
The question is, what's the name of Mariah Carey's song that topped the Billboard Hot 100 in November 1990?
For how many weeks? 3.
For
Don't
3
worry.
weeks. 3 weeks.
3. Don't worry. You got it. You got it. You got it, Fahim. Have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
I'm a bit more ready.
You are a member of Outsurance. Well,
Yes.
how about 2,000 Rand in cash? All thanks to Outsurance and 702. Fahim indeed getting that right. Number 1 song on the Billboard Hot 100, taken off her debut album, Love Takes Time. It wasn't even meant to be included in that original album, but they added it sort of at the last minute. I want you to listen to Mariah Carey talking about her songwriting and how this song came about in just an hour.
You know, after Vision of Love and those songs, which were on my demo, the label was like, well, we need some more pop ballads. So I wrote Love Takes Time. And a lot of people are like, oh, we love that song. I'm like, really? I wrote that in an hour. Because it was like a directive, write something more in the pop vein, you know, in between pop and R&B. But this is closer to my heart because nobody was saying, write something like this.
I don't want to be here alone.
KG, what can you write in an hour? In an hour. She wrote this in an hour.
Suddenly I'm so incomplete. Lord, I'm needing you now. Tell me how to stop the rain. Tears are
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 48-year-old Felicity, who now pays a low 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. With Outsurance, you get the legendary out bonus that pays you a percentage of your premiums back if you're claim-free. SMS out to 45142. Make today the day you switch and get more out. After switching, 31-year-old Palisa now pays only 926 Rand a month for her 2024 Kia Sonet. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? Get a quote today. And if Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, you can ask for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
At Auto in General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto in General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto in General, never not there. Auto in General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
Shem, you're a Liverpool supporter, aren't you?
What?
Aren't you a Liverpool supporter?
How many years have been working together and you think I'm a Liverpool fan?
All right.
Thank you.
I wanted to insult you. Of course, you support that mid-table team.
The mid-table team, yes. We have won all those trophies in the past and have been very successful. But hey, life is about ups and downs.
About 20 odd years ago. All right, let's talk firstly, working overnight shifts. Have you ever done overnight shifts, Kabazela?
No, I haven't done overnight shifts, but I imagine it's very difficult. I mean,
not even in those years when your mid-table team was still winning.
No, I mean, I did 4 to 6 in the morning. That was probably the closest I got to working overnights. But yeah, I think it must be very, very hard, and your life is turned upside down, and you're sleeping in the day and up at night, and your clock and your body, I imagine, just not used to that. So this video we're talking about, Bongles, is obviously in Europe, and when they turn the clocks back, so this person is working overnight, she's watching her PC clock, and it's 1:59, and you think it's going to go to 2 a.m. in the morning, but as it's, the seconds go, it turns back to 1 a.m. So that must be a complete mind flip as well when you're working an overnight shift. And she says that the struggles are really, really hard, and her cycles, she doesn't get used to it. And by the looks of it, she probably works a week night shift, and then the following week she goes back to working in the day, which is even more problematic, I would imagine. So I wanted to ask people who have worked night shifts, or maybe are working night shifts, if you may be on your way home and going to sleep, what are the challenges? What do you find the most difficult about that kind of lifestyle, or did with that kind of lifestyle when you worked overnights?
Listen, I used to read overnight news at Eyewitness News many, many years ago.
Yeah, when United was a championship squad.
And the toughest thing is just staying awake.
Yeah,
that's really it, because even I mean, it's not quite overnight, but we are up generally around 3 o'clock in the morning, most of the members of the team behind the breakfast show. And although that's not quite overnight, your system just doesn't get used to it.
No.
But it helps to go to bed early. I mean, I went to bed last night, I think by 6:45 I was lights out. and that kind of thing helps. But
Yeah.
generally, your body clock just doesn't adjust. All right, if you're an overnight worker, you've worked overnight shifts, what's the toughest part about working when everybody else is asleep? That's what's gone viral with Kabazela.
702.
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
All right.
Hi,
Maphelile,
Bongani.
how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. I want to know from you. Have you worked overnight shifts?
Yes. Before I came here, I was working a graveyard shift. That's what they call it. I actually enjoyed it because it meant I was avoiding a lot of drama in the office. So I was never there during the day. When I come late nights, yeah, it's always calm. I never see anybody. So yeah.
Is it
I
because you're
enjoyed it.
always at the center of drama? At the
No,
office?
not even. No. Office politics.
What feedback do you have?
Bongani, many of our listeners have plenty to say. They are weighing on the vandalism of the new G20 summit signage there near Nasrec. Saying as some are saying the frustration stems from high unemployment rate, poor service delivery, and the feeling that the government only acts quickly when global events are involved. But still, most agree that vandalism is not the right way to get the government's attention.
Gosh, if you've just joined us, of course, some of the G20 signs that have been put up, the billboards saying welcome, have been vandalized over the weekend, and the Gauteng government responding to that with some ire and irritation. But it just gives you a sense of, I don't know. And I wonder about the legitimacy of hosting these gatherings when so much is wrong with our own society. And it feels as if whatever does get fixed is only so that we can do a bit of window dressing for visitors. That's certainly an issue that's going to be debated, no doubt. What else?
And for our big interview with Mr. Songezo Zibi, a lot of 702 lenders are saying South Africa is entering a new dawn. They're feeling very optimistic about the ongoing investigation into these administrative and governance matters within the RAF.
All right, Songezo Zibi, of course, was our big interview. I'm just still stunned by his comment that it's so bad. I won't give you all of it because it's just too depressing so early in the morning. And then, of course, we spoke to Ferial Hafaji, Daily Maverick launching a Joburg bureau looking at Joburg-specific stories. She says there is a citizen-driven response to the decay of the city. If the officials and those in power are giving up, the citizens certainly are not. Is that your sense? Have you joined any of the platforms, any of the initiatives? Is there one that you suspect Joburg can, for example? Do you support initiatives around fixing potholes, reporting infrastructure damage? Do you think we as citizens are doing enough to respond to the challenges? Your responses, it's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
A family is killed by a fire on the East Rand, and MPs are expected to reflect on the work of investigating police corruption so far. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulum. 5 members of the same family have died in a shack fire in Ekurhuleni. Emergency services say they were called to the scene at the Steve Biko informal settlement just before midnight. 1 teenager survived the blaze. Ekurhuleni Disaster and Emergency Services spokesperson William Tladi says the cause of the fire is being investigated.
A 5-room shack was found engulfed in flames. Fire suppression was initiated. Flames contained and extinguished. And on search, rescue and recovery, 5 charred bodies were found under the burnt rubble.
South Africa is set to revisit a painful chapter in its history as the inquiry into the Truth and Reconciliation Commission begins this morning. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry will investigate the alleged interference in the investigation of apartheid-era cases referred to the NPA after the TRC wrapped up in 2003. The commission will be chaired by retired Constitutional Court Justice Sisi Gampepe, who will be assisted by retired Northern Cape Judge President Frans Diale Homo and Advocate Andrea Gabriel. Homoso Modisa reports.
It's been exactly 30 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was set up as a restorative justice tool, allowing perpetrators of apartheid-era crimes and victims to come around the table in a bid to promote reconciliation and forgiveness. By the end of the commission in 2003, many perpetrators had been pardoned, but about 3,000 cases were referred to the NPA for further investigation and prosecution. However, 27 years later, virtually virtually none of those cases have been heard by a court, and the very few that have are yet to be finalized. In May, President Cyril Ramaphosa established the Commission of Inquiry as part of a lawsuit by 24 families, including the family of anti-apartheid stalwart Fort Galata, against government for failing to make progress in their cases. The Commission spokesperson Lionel Ardendorf.
The inquiry will not be about the Galata matter solely.
The Commission insists it will not be a rerun of the original TRC, but will limit its scope to the 3,000 cases that were referred for further investigation. Eyewitness News.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation has again accused the state of abusing its power as a trial against the former president's daughter begins today. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is charged with incitement to commit public violence and terrorism for her alleged role in the July 2021 unrest, which was sparked by her father's arrest. More than 300 people died during the riots in KZN and Gauteng, while the damage to infrastructure and looting cost the economy billions of rands. The trial is expected to run for the next 2 weeks at the Durban High Court. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The Jacob Zuma Foundation says it charges against the daughter of its patron is a political ploy. The foundation says her father, the former president, is actually the state's target and that his children are being prosecuted for their association with him. The foundation has even gone as far as labeling it as the harassment of Zuma and his children. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla, who was released on warning in January, will return to the dock this morning for the long-awaited trial. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption is set to meet today to discuss its interim report on the work it has completed on the first 16 days of hearings. The committee will also receive a report from its evidence leader and technical team on outstanding consultations with witnesses still to appear, as well as its program for the next few weeks. The committee's next witness will be National Director of Public Prosecutions, Shamila Batoyi, who takes the stand tomorrow. Babalondenze reports.
Today's meeting follows the appearance of Investigating Directorate Against Corruption head Andrea Johnson, who testified on Thursday. The meeting will be mostly housekeeping before it resumes hearings with the appearance of National Prosecuting Authority head Shamila Batoyi. As the head of the NPA, Batoyi also has oversight control over IDAC, which falls within the NPA. Batoyi will likely face questions on submissions on how prosecutors in the criminal justice system are compromised and face possible outside influence. The kidnapping and robbery of IDAC's head of operations, Matthew Sasoko, on Friday is also expected to be put to Batoyi. Johnson confirmed that Sasoko had dealt with the investigations into crime intelligence officials, including his head Dumsani Kumalo and his co-accused, who were arrested on fraud and corruption charges earlier this year. Senzo Mchulu's chief of staff, Cedric Nkabinde, will be the committee's next witness on Thursday. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
And the United Nations says millions of refugees are trapped in a vicious cycle of conflict and climate extremes. The UN has urged leaders at the COP30 summit to provide financing for the most vulnerable. A new report says that climate change is not only amplifying existing vulnerabilities, it's also fueling displacement trends, creating complex and compounding risks for refugees, leaving many with no escape from its impacts. Gold is trading at $4,063.43 an ounce. The rand is at 17.27 to the dollar, 22.72 to the pound, 19.97 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.12 a barrel.
In the Calvin Alex area, roadworks causing more than an hour delay. N3 North between Linksfield Road and the Between to change 4 ways. Traffic congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen Road and the N1. Rivoli traffic sluggish on Main Reef Road between New Canada and Nasrick Road.
And in your sport, Manchester City beat Liverpool 3-0 to keep the pressure on leaders Arsenal. The Carling Knockout Cup final will be Pirates against Gallants on December the 6th. Lando Norris wins in Sao Paulo to go 24 points clear, top of the F1 driver standings. Novak Djokovic withdraws from the ATP finals for a second year in a row.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23. The top story in EWN this hour: 5 members of the same family have died in a shack fire in Ekurhuleni.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock, walking the talk. Welcome to the program. It is Monday, the 10th of November. Welcome to the show. A little earlier, if you want to catch up with what we did, perhaps you weren't listening, we spoke to Ferial Haffiji, who's the associate editor at the Daily Maverick. They've launched a Joburg bureau. We were speaking about the city, and her sense is, whilst the politicians maybe at times give up on Jozi, it's the citizens who are now leading initiatives that are seeking to reclaim the city back. Our big interview was with Songezo Zibi. He is, of course, the leader of Rise Mzansi, but in his capacity as chair of SCOPA, looking at the royal mess that is the Road Accident Fund. Things are so bad, Zibi says he doesn't want to tell us the extent of it, not least because, of course, that inquiry is still ongoing, but also because he says it's just too depressing. I can't remember an interviewee ever saying that on the show. That was, for me, a first. And of course, this particular way of conducting a probe puts everyone under oath. And so what they say there has to be absolutely true. Otherwise, of course, perjury becomes the charge. They've subpoenaed the former CEO. If he doesn't show up, he's going behind bars.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Reflecting on a number of issues, of course, including answering Kabazela's question. Have you ever worked a night shift? What was the hardest part of getting through on Floris? Is it Floris? Yeah, Floris, you've got a point of view. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Bongos. How are you?
Very good, very good. Floris, go ahead.
Wonderful, my big man. Yeah, do you know what? My wife, she was working at a local shelter for abused women, and I had to go and pick her up if she did the night shift. And I did not even have to travel to work. My work starts at 7, so I need to wake up at 4:30 to go and pick her up in the morning. And then she comes back, she goes to bed, and I have to sit there for 2 whole hours because I live on the job. That was mentally punishing. But let me tell you, that's the things we do for love, eh?
Indeed. That's how you know it's the right one, and that's how you know you're the one, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm still happily married for 34 years. But fortunately, she's retired now, and I can go to work. It's my normal time, 5 minutes to 7, and then I'm in my workplace.
You can sleep better at night, hey?
Wonderful,
Flores,
my man.
Appreciating that call. Deirdre, you phoned in. You were part of the Nando's Chicken Run. How did it go?
Bongani, yeah, well organized. I heard you guys advertise the race from 702, and then 1 or 2 days later, I obviously entered the race. And kudos to Nando's and to Discovery for organizing a really well-organized race. I think the race village, the security in and around the stadium, just the whole logistics around it was fantastic. I've run lots of races, and I'm telling you, hopefully this is going to grow. But I think therein is the challenge, is that your point earlier on about Johannesburg and us taking back Johannesburg as citizens and as corporates. I think Nando's and Discovery has really gone a long way to do that. But I must tell you, I was bitterly disappointed with the behavior of the taxis in particular. That they were so aggressive at the various points where people were stopped so that runners could cross.
Yeah.
That they just ignored the JMPD. In fact, there was one specific position where the JMPD and some of the police abandoned that point because the taxis were so aggressive. So the stakeholders have to meet with the major taxi organizations and say, if we're going to take back Johannesburg, we've got to start with them, actually.
Yeah, indeed, because imagine at 5 p.m. on a Saturday, you wouldn't think it's necessarily even rush hour. So I'm not quite sure what that was about. Perhaps better engagement on that side. Diedrich, did you do 5, 10Ks? Which one?
No, I did the 10K. Goni.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah.
A very picture of health. Diedrich calling us from Pretoria, did the Nando's run. Did you take part? And how did it go for you? Diedrich says it was really well organized. He enjoyed that experience. But perhaps more consultation with the taxi organizations around making sure they support initiatives like that. It's all part of taking the city back, I suppose. And that's what that fun run was all about, that Nando's Chicken Run on the weekend.
Hey, Bonks. Morning. Working as a paramedic for 20 years, I've been working night shift on those 20-odd years. The most difficult time was during months end nights where you get your assault, your stabbing, your accident. That was my sleepless nights. Thank you, Bongani.
Yeah, gosh, I know that all too well, because what would often happen is they would then phone us to say there's been an accident at such and such an intersection, or, you know, people have been stabbed or whatever, and we'd be taking that information overnight and running it in news bulletins. So I remember all of that too well. Karabotjali, ever worked night shifts?
Yes, most definitely. When I started in radio, I was working for a community radio station, so I did the graveyard shift. And the bad thing about it was that I had to go to varsity the next morning. So it was actually a struggle to kind of balance my life. Yeah.
But
hey,
it's paid
the
off.
love of radio.
It's paid off. Here you are.
Yeah.
Mateo Haripe, you worked night shifts?
Yeah, I did at a logistics company. And the hard thing about it was sleeping when everyone was awake to get ready for that shift.
Yeah.
But also because I was younger, the partying aspect of it. So my friends would be like, oh, we're going somewhere. And I'm like,
hey,
they once fetched me actually at around 1 a.m. because they're like, we're tired of you not being around, so we're going to get you from your job and let's
you
go.
like it, you don't. You are coming to party with us. For me, it was the staying up, because I would literally be the only person in, maybe not the building, but
yeah,
you know, it felt certainly on the floor for hours at a time, and was just staying up. And trying to stay awake. That was, especially over weekends when on a Saturday night nothing was happening. But I also know there would be those rare moments of breaking news. I mean, I remember breaking the story of the passing of Lebo Mathosa around, must have been about 10 o'clock on a Sunday evening. At that stage, of course, we didn't know who the high-profile victim in the accident was, but that Pajero on the East Rand, that was every now and again a story like that would come. But yeah, I don't miss doing overnight shifts. There's no amount of money in the world you'd pay me to do that again.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Bongani Bingwa and the team, I'm very much against vandalism to the infrastructure. But the way we've been treated as South Africans to the outside world mostly, we paint a picture that everything is well, it's nice here at home. But the real issues are not being attended to. This is like putting a plaster of Paris to the cut wound.
Morning, Bongani. You know, I blame the people who are destroying the infrastructure. Ne? But again, if you can look at it on the other hand, we are told that the country doesn't have money. That's why there's no service delivery and stuff like this. Now, why do you clean your house while the visitors are coming? Hey? Where does this money come from? Where does this money come from? Hey? We've been living in filth. But now visitors are coming now. There's money. Then Johannesburg has to look clean. It doesn't work like that. Thank you. Taru from Deep Cliff.
Mateo, you keep an eye on these things more closely than I. I would imagine there'd be some kind of G20 collective budget for whoever is hosting, so not all of it coming from our fiscus.
Yeah. No, there is a budget for that because, of course, you have to cater for different nations' security. Some bigger nations have big security teams, things like that. So getting ready the accommodation part of it as well. So there is a bit of a budget, but it also does take a dent from your own spendings.
Do you think they're all going to show up? President Xi, do you think he'll come?
That's a very tough question to answer, Bongani. Yeah, but I think the BRICS partners should show up because they did in Brazil as well. So I think they should show up. Of course, the US saying they're not going to be here. But otherwise, I think it should be smooth running of that event.
Putin?
I don't know.
It's difficult to say.
I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. We're talking, of course, also about the vandalism of that G20 billboard near Nasrec. And I wonder if the sentiment around things being spruced up only because the visitors are coming, I think that voice note said a plaster on a gaping wound. I wonder if that'll affect the legitimacy of the gathering in terms of how people perceive it. And if you our big interview a little earlier on, we spoke to Songezo Zibi, who is, of course, the chair of the parliamentary, SCOPA really, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. And everyone who comes to give information or evidence or testimony before that SCOPA inquiry is under oath. And it's crucial because he says previously they would just lie. Can you imagine members of parliament would go to the RAF and there'd be no one there to receive them, to show them around the building? They'd sort of wander on their own. They would come to parliament with incomplete documents, make patently false statements, and then just walk away like it didn't matter.
No, I mean, it makes all of us on the committee really upset, Bongani, because there are people that have tried to say that certain things shouldn't be done. They have been abused and hounded out of the institution. Some of them were in front of the committee and they broke down and cried, relating what has happened to them, where they've lost everything because they were defending their labor, their labor matters in court. And there would be court orders that the Road Accident Fund would simply ignore and not enforce, even if it's an appeal court that instructs them to do that.
I also, as a long-time watcher of events and particularly how money was spent, remember, of course, used to be the editor of the Business Day. So as a journalist, as a citizen, how did he feel having such an up-close view of the actual rot that has been going on? And that's what you heard there was his answer.
EWN Traffic.
19 after 8, the CWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. An accident in Benoni. Give us an update on that, Garabo, please.
Yeah, so if you're leaving Benoni heading towards Boksburg, Germiston accident scene, N12 West near Atlas Road, now causing about a 20-minute delay all the way from Tom Jones. 4 ways traffic also congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and the N1. Heading into the Joburg CBD, expect more than a 20-minute delay. M1 North between Gold Reef City and the double-decker section. Also coming from Germiston into the Joburg CBD, there's huge delays on the M2 westbound between George Koch and the Crown Interchange, while in Rivoli, traffic sluggish on Main Reef Road between New Canada and Nazareth Road. In Calvin Alex area, we're still dealing with those roadworks. That's heading towards Midrand, causing more than an hour delay. N3 North between Linksfield Road and the Between Interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a man wearing his finest suit on his way to an interview. He's prepped 100 times, but he still has butterflies. I've got this. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a potential lucky break that could change someone's life. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
We get told to wait for things. Wait for the right moment. Wait for a rainy day. Wait till the cows come home. Cows? Really? Well, the waiting is over because the Decofurn Furniture Black Friday Super Sale is now on, and with 15 to 40% and more off everything for the whole of November. What are you waiting for? The Decofurn Black Friday Super Sale, now on, in-store or at decofurnsa.co.za.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
PSG Asset Management sees opportunities others have missed. Like that stock, once up, now down. We thought good price and started our in-depth research there. Turns out it was a quality undervalued company working hard to restore market confidence to deliver soaring returns when they did. Because for us, a good price is just the beginning. To partner with us, contact your financial advisor or visit psg.co.za. PSG Asset Management Pty Limited is an authorized financial services provider and part of PSG Financial Services Group, a licensed controlling company.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
All right, let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, let's start in the Philippines. Super Typhoon Fong Wong.
Yeah, we were talking about a typhoon only last week, and here comes another one, and a more fierce one as well. As you say, Typhoon Fong Wong, with winds hitting up to 230 kilometers per hour, which is, of course, super fierce and super dangerous. And we know that overnight it hit Luzon, which is the Philippines' main population center. Fong Wong comes after that other storm, Kalmeji, which left a trail of destruction and ultimately also 200 people dead. So obviously there are great fears that Fong Wong could be even worse. And we know that schools have closed for today across the Philippines in all sorts of areas or moved online. 300 flights cancelled. But the only thing is, 1 million people have been evacuated, 1 million, from the lowest and most prone and vulnerable parts of the Philippines. So the preparedness of the Philippines is almost as impressive as the storm itself. It is extraordinary. There are, I think, about 24 countries, more or less, around the world who regularly have to prepare for these extreme weather events, in particular from hurricanes and typhoons. And the way that they prepare is amazing, in a way that I don't think your country, or certainly my country, would ever have a clue what to do. I have no fathom of how 1 million people in the UK would ever agree to do anything, let alone move out of the way of a big storm.
Goodness me, I think we've had a few challenges in recent years that caught us quite literally with our pants down. So something like that would be an absolute disaster, I think, in this country, certainly. Let's go to the US now. Adam, this government shutdown, how has that affected air travel?
Well, and of course, technically, they've agreed to end it, but it doesn't mean that has actually ended. They still have to work that through. And there are plenty of Democrats who feel that their colleagues in other parts of the Democrat Party should not be siding with the Republicans to end it. But maybe it's a glimmer of hope for those people who are badly affected. 40 days. How is it affected? Well, again, it's a bit like a storm, and the way the tentacles of a storm reach out and hit communities you haven't thought of. The tentacles of this government shutdown across 40 days have reached into food aid, benefits claims, healthcare, parks, museums, contractors who are working for all those companies. So you don't think it, but there's a painter decorator firm that was about to paint a new window at some museum and can't because the museum's closed. So those contractors are affected. Business startups, some mortgages, but the airline industry in particular, is the one that perhaps catches the eye most, simply because the US Transportation Secretary announced only yesterday that there would be a 4% cut in flights, rising to 10%, and ultimately maybe only a trickle of flights. And whilst domestic flights in America were hit first, it would be international flights ultimately. So given that, it looks like the shutdown might come to a conclusion, it's thought this has cost the US economy somewhere between $7 and $14 billion. And personally, 1.5 million people are out of pocket because they haven't been paid. So it hits hard.
I wonder if there are going to be consequences at the ballot box at some point. Adam, we'll keep an eye on that. Now, let's talk about the Duke of Sussex. He's got a remembrance message.
Yeah, I think he gets a fair bit of flack sometimes, Prince Harry, and his wife, indeed, Meghan, and maybe necessarily so sometimes. But this, I think, is really hitting a nail on the head. Okay, Prince Harry, we know, has army service behind him. He was in Afghanistan. He draws on his own experience in all sorts of ways and has talked about his trauma. And ahead of what we've just had here, which was Remembrance Sunday, but also Armistice Day tomorrow, he's written this essay, which I think makes a bit of sense, called The Bond, the Banter, the Bravery. He talks about how those still living must also be honored. It's not just about honoring the fallen who made the ultimate sacrifice, he acknowledges that, but about those who still carry the weight of war and conflict. He talks about his pride in serving his country and the camaraderie of those that he served with. But He says, Remembrance and Armistice Day, we might all observe the silence, but it should be more than that. It should be all of us with a lifelong commitment, not just to the fallen, to people we've lost, but to those who perhaps need our empathy and gratitude and some action, and how we should reach out to veterans and remind them that their service still matters to us, even on a very personal level. And as I say, I think he gets a lot of flack, maybe necessarily so sometimes, but I think this is quite warm and sensible from Harry.
Indeed it is. And I think, as you say, sometimes not always given a fair treatment, I think, in the media. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
28 minutes after 8 o'clock. All right, those interim results we were waiting for. Muteo Khoripe, Vodacom, and is that mystery number? Have you been doing your sleuthing work? Those numbers came out an hour ago. You've had an hour now.
Jeez, Bongani, jeez.
Right,
yeah.
Take out your looking glass. What are you seeing? Is there a number?
What
Rai, ndina pay out
So Vodacom says it was able to deliver robust growth with a 13.6% increase in group service revenue to 65.8 billion rand. The telecoms giant also posting modest service revenue of 2.2% to 31.7 billion rand in the 6 months to September. But nobody cares about that. How much did Nkosana Makate get in that settlement? Well, the companies decided to bury that in the results. The cost is expected to be between 550 million rand and 750 million. Bloomberg Intelligence are posting that number at 550 million. The Johannesburg-based company on Thursday flagging a smaller rise in profit after it settled a long-running dispute with ex-staff member Nkosana Makate over his Please Call Me invention. The company's EBITDA swing in the group's South African unit, which was impacted by the revenue performance and that one-off cost from Nkosana Makate also coming in lower. So that number is at around 700 million rand, and that is the expected settlement amount. They haven't clearly stated it. They've decided to bury it in the numbers, but they will be having a presser between 3 and 6 on their results, and of course we'll be posing that question to them.
Do you think journalists are going to be asking about their branding?
No, there'll be none of that. Just one question.
One question. All right, here's a question for you. Where is the rand?
17 rand 27 against the US dollar, starting off the Monday on a good note at 19 rand 97 against the euro and 22 rand 71 cents against the British pound. The price of gold at $4,069 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 2% at $1,574. Brent crude at $64.18 a barrel. Stephen Crotus with more this afternoon.
8:30 exactly, your time check. Up next, we'll tell you about a new docuseries on Showmax and Mnet, and it chronicles that perhaps now forgotten war, one might say, between, of course, South Africans in the border of Namibia and Angola. Remember all of that. That story being told with a fresh perspective. In the meantime, let's go straight to the news desk. What do you have at this hour, Sfisa Zulu?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. New political formation, Unite for Change, has dismissed criticism from well-established parties that new, smaller movements are fragmenting the vote and causing instability in coalitions where they are often the kingmaker. The new political platform launched its candidate recruitment process for the upcoming local government elections at a gathering of supporters from Rise Mzansi, Good and Bosa held in Parliament yesterday. The parties say they will not cower to the country's biggest political organizations. Lindsay Dentlinker takes a look.
Collectively, the parties that make up Unite for Change attained just more than 1% of the vote in last year's national elections, with a total of 5 seats in Parliament. But Bosses Nobuntu Hlazo Webster says the emergence of new parties is because older parties have disappointed voters.
If you look at currently what you see in the GNU, the biggest problems that exist are between the two biggest parties in the GNU. And so it's not a matter of size, but a matter of governance.
Rise Mzansi's Vuyiswa Ramagopa says Unite for Change is responding to voters' desire for politically aligned parties to work together.
So there is no such thing as small parties, big parties, ugly parties, beautiful parties.
Every single one of these parties represents the aspirations, the desires, and the fears of South Africans, and they have every right to have their views represented.
BOSA leader Mmusi Maimane says attracting candidates that represent communities trumps the notion that this new amalgamated party should hold an elective conference to determine its leadership. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
The Gauteng government has issued a stern warning against attempts to disrupt G20 preparations, threatening vandals of public infrastructure with up to 30 years imprisonment. Incidents of vandalism ahead of the G20 summit have been reported near the Maverick Expo Center, where at least 60 heads of state are expected in 2 weeks. The cleanup drive ahead of the summit has drawn calls for a shutdown by some frustrated residents who say it can't be business as usual. Gauteng government spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga.
The Gauteng provincial government is extremely concerned that the investment we have made to upgrade our road infrastructure is now being undermined by criminals. The criminals are targeting infrastructure such as traffic signals as well as street lights, where the repairs have recently been completed. We call upon members of the public to work with the police to ensure that these criminals are arrested.
The ANC has hit back at the US president's repeated claims of a white genocide in South Africa amid a renewed disinformation campaign by Donald Trump. Trump again took to his Truth social media platform to falsely claim white Afrikaners were being persecuted in the country. This is part of a year-long unwarranted attack on South Africa, where Trump has shunned the country and some of its leaders. He says no one from his administration will attend the G20 Leaders Summit in Joburg later this month, as long as the unfounded human rights violations continue. None of Trump's claims of white Afrikaners being slaughtered and land being illegally confiscated have been proven. ANC spokesperson Mahlengu Bengu.
His unfounded claims of genocide and persecution of white South Africans, together with his boycott of the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit, are part of a long and disgraceful pattern of imperial arrogance and disinformation.
And US senators have passed a deal that paves the way to ending the longest government shutdown in history in America. A group of Democratic lawmakers have backed an agreement negotiated with Republicans in the Senate. After 40 days of stalemate, this is the first sign of any progress, but the deal still needs to pass the House. There was wrangling over healthcare subsidies, food benefits, and President Donald Trump's firings of federal employees. Chuck Schumer, who is the leader of the minority, is among the Democrats who are opposed to the deal that is expected to slow the process down.
We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage, from cutting off food aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng, with showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 23 degrees.
Calvin Alex area roadworks causing more than an hour delay. This is on the N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Botlow Interchange, while in Benoni, we're still dealing with that accident scene. N12 westbound near Atlas Road, causing about a 20-minute delay all the way from Tom Jones.
The top story this hour: Unite for Change has dismissed criticism from well-established parties that new smaller movements are fragmenting the vote and causing instability in coalitions.
You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 GWMP series, 54-year-old Amos now pays only 1,004 Rand a month. And for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser, 55-year-old Andre pays just 776 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hey, Bongs and the team. I worked a night shift before, and it was an RMX. And my shift will actually start at 4 and end up at around about 3 o'clock in the morning. So what we do there, we'll be packaging all the stock that's coming, all the courier things that needs to move out. The worst part of it that you if they were transporting like things like engines and all that stuff, you have to shrink wrap that engine and put it on a pallet and make your own pallet. I never enjoyed it. I only lasted for a month and I left, and the money was also not good. That's why I left.
Morning, Bongani and the team. Bongani, I must say, night shift. The most difficult thing it's really sleeping. Being sleepy, but the aim is never get caught. The aim is to not get caught, because definitely we sleep, Bongani. Night shift. Thanks, Bongani. Thanks, Goshawel.
Mr. Bingwa, good morning. I have a story to tell regarding night shift. I worked night shift for 10 years. Between that 10-year period, I also studied full-time, from school to work, from work to school. Hey, I was so skinny. Now I'm very big, my brother, because I'm only doing day shift. Thank you.
You know what I did that really, really was not good for me? I ballooned in the time I was doing the night shift, because also I was only doing radio. I wasn't doing any television work. And because part of what you have to adjust to is not just, the sleeping patterns, it's also your eating patterns, right? I would have supper before going to work around 5, and then they'd pack me like a little snack bite that I would eat overnight. And then, as the night goes on, you want a little snack. I used to eat those mango dried fruit things. You take a little walk to the garage to go get yourself some juice. And in the year and a half I did overnight news, I must have picked up about 20 kilos. And I remember there was a company that invited me to do a corporate video. Shame, the guys at Man-Made Media. I'd done this corporate video about, 9 months prior. And 9 months later, they thought we could just pick it up from where we left off. And it was so much bigger. They didn't know what to do. We're talking about doing night shifts. Cindy Paluta, ever had to do night shifts?
So it's so interesting. No, I didn't. In terms of doing an all-nighter.
Or working mostly for the night?
So I've never had to do night shift, but I did do like shifts at Supersport, where they would say, okay, you're going to work until last live event. And sometimes the last live event is golf in the US, and you're really hoping there's no playoff hole. Because I remember leaving once at like 2:30 in the morning because golf
qualifies.
because golf would take that long. But interestingly, the weight thing, it does happen, and we see it a lot with people who start in morning radio. So we always joke when people come onto the shift, we always say, let us take your before photo, because what you don't realize is your day is so much longer than everybody else's. You're so exhausted, and your body just wants to eat to keep and energized. Then when you're working on night shift, you're like, well, I work night shifts, I deserve it. And then you
don't
yourself.
think about it. You don't think about it. You want a little sugar rush. You kind of, if you're gonna, I used to arrive here at around 6:30. So you've got a little bit of time to have that last bit of supper with the family before you leave. But by the time it's midnight, 1 o'clock, you're hungry again.
Well, you just
so you're gonna have
snack.
So I would literally have 2 plates dished for me. The one I would have at home, and there's the one I'm going to have overnight. By 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you feel like you want a little nibble here, there. You get back home. You go to sleep at around, 6:37 in the morning. Before you do, there's a little nibble there. And then
breakfast.
you wake up. You wake up at, 1 o'clock. It's lunchtime. So there's a little nibble there. And in a year and a half, your 20K is heavier.
And it's also got a lot to do with people. I take sleep so seriously. Like my husband always jokes about how I take it too seriously. But sleep is so important. So you, on a night shift, you're not getting the same sleep because A, the sun is shining, and B, maybe there's noise. So people are doing construction in your area, etc. So you're not getting a full 8 hours, which your body actually needs for hormones, for cortisol. There's so much research into it. And before you know it, you balloon.
Yeah, because
and then you can't do
patterns,
corporate videos.
And it's 25 years later, and that weight hasn't all gone away, has it? Because
good morning.
You know, that's a thing.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Just to second the address there, I also did the Nando's chicken run. It was beautiful, well organized, police everywhere, marshals. It was just so awesome. The spectators on the road, it was beautiful. The only thing, it was just the taxis. At some point, I felt like they were just going to crash into all of us runners. Yeah, that was the only thing. But you know what? Everything was perfect. I'd love to do it again. And thank you for advertising the run. I entered because I had it on your show, Bongani. Thank you very much. And I did my sub 1. Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
EWN Sport.
Run. Run Liverpool. Now there's a chicken run.
Right. Oh, if ever there was. So the defending champions Liverpool have now slipped to 8th in the Premier League, while Manchester City stays second, 4 points behind Arsenal. Last night, City beat Liverpool 3-0 at the Etihad. Boss Pep Guardiola.
Listen, I'm pretty sure when Arsenal at the end was equalized from Sunderland, and I think Liverpool and myself said, "Oh wow, they draw point finally. They concede 2 goals." I said to the players, guys, don't do it because yesterday Arsenal didn't win. We had to do it to believe ourselves. We play against the champions in England, show them that we are able to be there with them, all this season.
Aston Villa beat Bournemouth 4-0, Brentford and Nottingham getting 3-1 wins over Newcastle and Leeds, while Palace finished goalless with Brighton. The Carling Knockout Cup final will be played on December the 6th between Orlando Pirates and Maruma Galant, because yesterday Galant beat Golden Arrows on penalties 4-2. The game was 2-2. At the Under-17 FIFA World Cup, South Africa through to the knockout stages. Even though they lost to Italy 3-1, they still finished second in the group. Lando Norris won the Sao Paulo F1 Grand Prix ahead of Antonelli. Verstappen, who started from the pits, finished third, ahead of Russell with Piastri in fifth. The result puts Norris 24 points ahead of Piastri in the championship. The Portuguese MotoGP, South African Brad Binder finishing in fifth there. The race was won by Betseki ahead of Alex Marquez and Acosta. And in tennis, Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from the ATP finals for a second year in a row, apparently due to a shoulder injury aggravated in his Hellenic Championship final win over Lorenzo Musetti. It means Musetti is now replacing Djokovic at the ATP finals and is in action today against Taylor Fritz. The other game is Sinner against Ajay Lassim. Yesterday, Alcaraz beat Domino 7-6, 6-2. Zverev beat Shelton 6-3, 7-6. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
The 8:45 on the nose. Let's wrap up the morning's traffic. There have been delays in all sorts of places, Karabo, including, of course, Benoni.
So if you're leaving Benoni heading towards Boksburg, Germiston, we're still dealing with that accident scene. N12 westbound near Atlas Road, still causing about a 20-minute delay. In the Four Ways area, traffic is also congested on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and the N1. In Kaya Sand, traffic is a bit sluggish on Malibongo Drive between South Africa Drive and Boundary Road. And in Calvin, Alex, roadwork still causing about a 20-minute delay on the N3 northbound between Linksfield Road and the Platoon Change. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Steve, you moved to Momentum. Congrats.
Thanks.
It's Tasha. Listen, the fast-paced life in Jersey just isn't working for me. I'm migrating to the Cape.
What does that have to do with life insurance?
Well, you know I love a glass or 3. And I want to age as graciously as a smooth Merlot, not a box of cardboard dough.
Naturally.
And I need my critical illness cover to pair with those chilled vibes.
Of course. With Momentum, you get the most comprehensive critical illness cover in the market. You could say it's a full-bodied offering.
I'll toast to that.
Chat to your financial advisor about Momentum's critical illness cover. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show.
on 702.
13 minutes before 9 o'clock, the Clement Manyatela Show, of course, coming up between 9 and 12, and like Friday. Thabo is back in the hot seat. A very good morning to you.
Morning, Bongles. Morning
Was the
to the
weekend
listeners.
good?
It was great. It was chilled. Nothing much, but it was amazing. I hope yours was also.
I slept this weekend.
Did you?
I slept.
Literally
Bona,
sleeping.
I slept this weekend.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was just what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Didn't go anywhere. Didn't do anything.
But you wake up so early, 3 o'clock in the morning, and
what
I
often
don't envy
happens
you.
is, go weekend, by 6 o'clock I'm up. My body
Yeah,
clock.
yeah. Body clock
Do
kicks
you know what
in.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was nice to be able to go back.
Yeah.
Again
Very
and
nice.
again and again and again and again. So it was just a weekend of being indoors,
Yeah.
relaxation, and just catching up with myself. What's on the show
I'm
today?
happy for you. Bongani, these are the chilling words from a teenager at school. He said, "One day I will drink poison because they bully me at school." Subsequently, this learner committed suicide, and it is suspected because of bullying at school. This is the hill that I'm willing to die on. I'll speak about it every opportunity I get, because parents, teachers, all of us have a role to play. On the open line, we will touch on bullying for the umpteenth time until we speak to our own children at home and tell them that if I hear that you are bullying someone at school, there's going to be serious consequences here at home, because parents, in many instances, defend their kids, and also doing away with this myth that it only happens in poor schools and whatever else. These affluent schools are also hiding the bullying that is taking place, where kids also get to this point. So we'll touch on that on the open line between 9 and 10, and many other issues that I will raise at that time. Musi Maimane will speak to us about United for Change. They've opened up a transparent process of recruiting potential councillors for the 2026 local government elections. And G20 boycott. The US, as you've said before, they've boycotted South Africa. They don't want to come through. What impact will that have for us? 11 to 12, family matters. We often are ashamed to admit that our parents, our siblings, our cousins have an addiction, be it nyaope, be it gambling. We are so ashamed to speak about it. We'll put that on the spotlight between 11 and 12.
All right, the Clement Manyatela Show. Thabo Shalomashao is in the hot seat between 9 and 12.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Introducing South Africa's most affordable way to get hearing aids. At Specsavers Audiology, you can now get a pair of hearing aids from as little as 599 Rand per month. Hearing clearly shouldn't be a luxury. Enjoy life's moments from 599 Rand per month. Test your hearing today and join the conversation with Specsavers Audiology. T's and C's apply.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes before 9 o'clock, on to this now. I suppose it really even starts with your definition. Is it the South African border war? Is that how you remember it? The Angolan Bush War? Or perhaps the Namibian War of Independence? It's a chapter in our history that you could argue starts around 1966 and only gets wrapped up in 1989. Well, this Wednesday, the 12th of November, Mnet and Showmax are going to premiere a gripping journey into perhaps our hidden battle, the Unspoken War, this docu-series, as I say, on Mnet and Showmax, looking back to that period of instability in Southern Africa, not just in this country. Nikki Kominos is the director of the Unspoken War and joins us now on the line. Nikki, a very good morning to you and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Hi, Bongani. Thanks so much for having me.
There are so many people, South Africans among them, who gave up their young men, gave up their lives to fight in this unspoken war. And yet it's one of those that isn't, as your title says, often mentioned.
Yes, exactly. In fact, it isn't really even studied in high school history. So it's kind of this sort of confusing, shameful part of our past that sits with many people as a kind of national trauma. And that's why we thought that we wanted to kind of unpack it. Many people have experiences with fathers and uncles, or even people who were resisting the war, not only fighting in the war, who have kind of traumatic issues, post-traumatic distress, and they don't understand where it comes from. And that is the unspoken element, to kind of unpack the reverberations of this war across generations.
History is written by the victors, as the saying says, so one can kind of understand why perhaps in the new dispensation this isn't something that was is spoken a lot about. But as you say, this was yet another one of those conflicts that had many sides, never mind just two. So let's just go back to it then. Conscription, of course, was a huge chunk of how that war unfolded. But take us back to the beginning, Nikki, for anybody who perhaps doesn't remember the history. How did it all begin?
It begins in 1966 with a battle between the South African Defence Force and with SWAPO, the Southwest African People's Organization. So South Africa had a mandate to control Namibia after World War II, but they kind of took it as another part of South Africa. We all remember the weather being told to us about what was happening in Namibia. And Namibians were under the same apartheid laws that South Africans were under, and Namibians wanted freedom. So it begins in the fight of the Namibian Resistance Army and the South African Defence Force.
In fact, doesn't it go all the way back to World War I when it becomes a protected territory? I think it was the League of Nations, where South Africa first plays that role. And of course, as you say, it grows even bigger after the Second World War. What is also interesting about this one is that even though there was a lot of this fighting, there was never really a formal declaration, if I remember correctly, Nikki.
Absolutely. So the South African government did their best to conceal the fact that we were at war with a foreign country. I mean, we should not, that is not really legal to be doing that. So it was kind of, the border was a mythical place and your sons were shipped off there and nobody really knew what was happening. And it would be reported by international news agencies that South Africa was making incursions to Angola, but it was not reported locally. So it was, there was no formal declaration. In fact, SADF soldiers, when they went into some of these places, were not wearing South African uniforms. They were concealing themselves by presenting possibly as mercenaries or as other forces.
And they were instructed not to talk about it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in many wars, that is a protocol for national security and those kind of things. But yes, absolutely. I think that contributed to this kind of confusion and dislocation of the soldiers on the ground, that they were unable to come home and decompress with their friends and family, as they were really impressed upon them that this was a top secret mission.
Of course, it was also part of the wider theater of the Cold War, and there were so many proxies in those fights, or at least the frontline soldiers were, being used as proxies by the bigger powers. Tell me then, with the involvement, say, of the Cubans, then the Angola struggle, I think at one point South African soldiers were deep into Angolan territory, then there was the pushback. How ugly and how bloody did this get?
I don't know if we'll ever really know the answer to that, because public record is not necessarily truth, and military record is not necessarily truth, and we don't even have access to many of those records. What we do know, exactly like you say, is that proxy armies were used, and often that is a way to shield casualties. So the South African government did not want its conscripts to die. That would be very bad PR for the government. So proxy armies of dislocated people from Angola were used. There was even conscription in Namibia, and often those deaths were not very well recorded.
Goodness me. And of course, I suppose there are some, dare I say, who look back on the old SADF with some sense of nostalgia about what it could really do. There's almost a myth built around the old defense force and its capabilities. Were they ever as good as the apartheid PR machine, propaganda machine might have wanted? Yeah, that's a fair question. Were they?
Well, I mean, if you go onto the internet now, and people who are interested in military history and sort of like army tactics, the SADF is very, intriguing to people, and their tactics are very much interesting and discussed about. I think that they use tactics of guerrilla warfare with more traditional army tactics. So it was an interesting army with lots of different kinds of ways of being, and I think that's what adds to its kind of intrigue. And then in many parts of the world, but specifically South Africa, the funding is not as big. The funding that was pumped into the SADF at that time was very, very, very big. And we know what is happening also to our soldiers now. They don't have great training. We've had terrible submarine and helicopter accidents, and our soldiers dying fighting in peace forces. So I think, the army has definitely changed for a myriad of reasons.
But as you say, because so much of this is opaque and was shrouded in, I suppose, secrecy in an undemocratic era, those records aren't there. There's a personal touch for you to all of this. Your mother, as I understand, was a foreign correspondent reporting on the war. Did you include her in your docuseries?
I did indeed. She has been a wonderful resource to me. She has a huge, she collects all of her papers and keeps everything. So she had many interviews that she conducted at the time, including audio interviews, because she was a stringer for radio. And what's so incredible is to be able to use her archive. I also interviewed her, and she was a wonderful interview, but to use her archive so that you can get box pops of people from that time, because it's hard to understand what were the average South Africans thinking about this, and how did they understand what was unfolding. And we have access to that record. The entire collection actually sits at Wits University within the South African History Archive, which is an incredible resource, and I encourage anybody interested in history to go and take a look. There's her collection, but many other collections too.
It sounds like it's going to be absolutely riveting. It premieres this Wednesday on Mnet and Showmax, right?
That's correct.
It's called The Unspoken War, and it is a very relevant part of our history, not least because it was so recent, and we dare not forget. Otherwise, what do we do with history? We're condemned to repeat it. Nikki Kominos is the director of The Unspoken War.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. It is 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The former Deputy Commissioner of Metro Police, Revo Spies, is expected to continue with his testimony before the